aptitude, expertise, genius, gift.
I'm the fucking talent.
Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. How you doing? Are you good? I'm good. Thanks for asking. Nobody asked. This is my new crutch now. This is how I open the show. I should just change the name of the show to Are You Good? Because, I mean, inevitably, I'm going to open the fucking show. And you know why? Here we go. Here's why. Because there used to be somebody in the room with me. So when there was somebody in the room with me, I could say, hey, Lily, how was your week? And did you break your hip yet again? I mean, that could be something that I would say early in the fucking show. But now I talk to you guys, and which is fine. I like talking to you guys. But if you guys, you can't answer me back, so there's no point in asking, but I ask anyway. And again, like I said, it's a crutch. It's a broadcasting crutch, if you will. A way to get me from point A to point B and possibly even to point Z. I'm not even sure where point Z will land in this. Let's go to point doom. Let's go to point Q. That's where I want to go, point Q. Let's go to point Q and on. Huh? Let's drink some bleach to avoid the coronavirus. What a fucking world we have right now. All right, so, but I keep asking if you're good, and that's fine. I mean, if it doesn't annoy you, I guess it's okay, but it annoys the piss out of me, because every time I fucking do it, I'm like, hey, are you good? Who's good out there? Who's good? Are you good? I'm good. Who's good? Are you good? Who's bad? That's a better question. Are you good? Are you bad? I'm bad. Who's bad? Dung, 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 dung. Your word is mine. I don't know the words. I probably know the words if I sing along with the record. It's one of those deals. Like, I can't pull the lyrics for bad. Then won't you slap my face because I'm bad? I'm bad. Good God. I love the story of that video. It was supposed to be Prince was supposed to be in that video. There was a story like Michael Jackson had an idea where like Prince and he were going to do the bad. They were going to do bad was going to be like a song where they traded verses. And then they were going to meet in the video. But I think it was that Prince wouldn't lose a fight to Michael Jackson. Is that what it was? Whatever. I don't give a fuck. And I don't blame Prince. You know what I mean? It was like, who wants to lose a fight to fucking Michael Jackson? It's bad enough that little dude who fucking is in Beat It in the big fucking white jacket, he goes down in a fight to Michael. Or does Michael even fight anybody in that video, in the Beat It video? He's just in bed with a t-shirt on, which is just creepy. And those fucking pants. And then he throws on the jacket and he comes to a diner. And it just, boy, watch those. They're so antiquated when you watch them now, but I would stare at them all the fucking time. Because again, those songs were a phenomenon. They took over the goddamn world. And then you see the videos now and you're like, oh man, that was just filmed in somebody's yard. Like, what the fuck happened there? Although I guess Thriller's a big production. Although John Landis is, his son's certainly a piece of shit. We know that. It's funny, every 6 months or so, some story goes around about how John Landis is a fucking monster. And in my brain, because again, I know this town, it's always new people who have stories about John Landis being a fucking monster. John Landis Jr. or Max Landis, that's his name. And you're like, well, why does anybody ever talk to this fucking guy? And it's because it's a town of hangers-on and wannabes. So Max Landis has all the fucking money. He has name cachet. He's gotten projects made. He's probably going to get more projects made. So of course you're going to hang out with him. And then it's like, it's always some woman who's like, oh, he grabbed my tit at Ralph's. And it's like, oh, well, it's Max Landis. The fuck do you expect? Guy's a dick. Stay away from him. Or some stranger with some account is like, yeah, it was weird. He came up to me and he asked if he could bum a smoke. And I said, yeah. And then he put his tongue in my ear. It was so weird. So then we went to a party. Whoa. Hold on a second. Let's back this jalopy up and take apart that sentence you just said. He stuck his tongue in your ear. You didn't even know him. He bummed a smoke. And now you went to a party together? Well, yeah, he said there was a cool party to go to. And so I went with him. And it's like, all right, man, everybody makes their own rules. I got to admit, tongue in the ear is a deal breaker. No party for you. I don't give a fuck. It's a fucking, the only party I go to for you, if you put your tongue in my ear and you say, hey, there's a party, that's a burial at sea party. I'm going to fucking murder you, drive you to the ocean and throw your body into the waves. Nobody puts their tongue in my fucking ear unless I want them to. Because that's a creepy thing. That's like wet willies and shit like that. Fuck that, dude. If anybody puts their fucking wet finger in your ear, break it off. Break it the fuck off. And I'm not even joking. Like, I know that sounds like, Mike's having fun. No, fuck you. Spit is fucking, because I'm so weird on spit. I'm like on either end of the spectrum. Like, if you're balls in and ready to go with a fucking chick, spit goes everywhere. I'm fucking happy about it. That's it. I'm a spit guy from the jump. However, if I don't know you, or if you're somebody playing a prank and you're like, hee, I'm going to spit in your eye. What the fuck? Or here, watch this. I'm going to put a little I'm going to slap you with a spit-covered fingers. Bah, fucking die, man. And a lot of you are like, well, where's Mike hanging out that this shit is happening? When I was a kid, it happened. I always talked about those with the Bazit and the Biao and the Tui. The Tui was when a guy would spit on his fingers and go and smack you on the temple and hit you in the head with spit-covered fingers. It was like a slap fight, but with the additional addition of spit on the fingers. What the fuck, man? What is wrong with kids or people? This world's over. Again, I've said it many times, where I see things now where people are just beyond the fucking pale. I mean, I see things happening and I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ, whatever the fuck, that's fine. Dude, I was just going to say, let's shut it all down. I say this on purpose. Lily was like, man, you got to get on TikTok. I'm like, why? I'm already on every other garbage thing and I don't use those. She's like, no, TikTok is like, that's the new thing. Like you totally, and something called Byte too. Somebody told me I got to get on Byte. But TikTok was the one. And Lily's like, yeah, no, you totally got to get on there, man. It's great. And I said, why? Because she's on there and she does videos and there's dance videos and fucking lip syncs and stuff. And maybe there's money in this for some people. And young people don't want to watch an old guy. What are they going to watch me doing on fucking TikTok? That's ridiculous. She's like, oh my God, there's this thing going around on TikTok now. There was the dancing thing. I've seen that a million times because my brother does it with his daughters. All right, my niece, I should say, Lily. She loves TikTok. I shouldn't say her fucking name, but I mean, but yes, my niece's name is Lily, and one of them anyway. I won't name the other because I'll spare her for your Google fucking skills. But Lenny, he's in her TikTok videos where she dances. She does like a dance thing and then her dad comes in and he dances and I'm like, all right, well I guess that's cute. Dad and daughter and dancing but I'm just a single dude. Like what dumb shit could I do on TikTok that people would want to see? So I'm talking to Lily and she's like, oh my God, we do all these dumb, like because Eddie's a clown. He's willing to do that stuff. And I'm not saying that in a mean way, not like clown, not like a dick clown. I mean, clown like makeup and fucking, he's that fucking guy. So he does TikTok and he's on board with it. He's great. He pulls it off and his shit's funny. He does the fine stuff. But I don't, I already got Snapchat and Instagram and all that other bullshit going on. And I don't even use those. I'll put up, you know why? Because to me, like, Twitter, 8 years ago, people were like, dude, you can totally get a job off Twitter. Just fucking crank out some comedy content. Somebody's going to notice you. You're going to get staffed. You're going to get a fucking job. So in the beginning, that's what everybody tried to do, and they were getting up getting jobs. Well, now, Twitter's just a cesspool, so nobody's getting any fucking jobs. So all you're doing when you're putting stuff on Twitter is you're just cranking out free comedy content for nothing, for nobody. I mean, people might notice it and you might get likes. So now everybody's working for likes and retweets instead of the possibility of getting a job. And I understand that's how the world works these days. And also you could still get noticed if you went viral with something. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. But then you're sitting there trying to crank out material for this website and for no fucking reward. There's no monetary reward anyway. I guess it's cool when you get likes. But I mean, it is cool. I won't lie. Fuck that. I like likes. I like retweets and shit like that. But at the same fucking time, what you should be doing other things. Go write a script or go do whatever the fuck. So anyway, who fucking cares? Look at me whining. So Lily's like, you got to do TikTok, and I'm like, well, I can't. What the fuck am I going to do on TikTok? And also, my followers, you guys out there, listeners or fans or whomever the fuck, I'm not. I wouldn't say I have the youngest demographic in the fucking world anymore. You know what I mean? I think a lot of you are, around my age probably, or younger, but not super younger. Like maybe within a 10-year parameter, maybe. There are people who've been listening to me for 12 years and they're like 30 now, which makes me laugh. And there are people who are 14 when they started fucking listening, and they're still listening, which is great. But I think I have more of a demographic of my age, and I don't think those people use TikTok. I don't know. But I mean, I guess she's like, no, it's a great way then to break through to that demographic. I'm like, how? How the fuck am I going to break through? By eating a ham sandwich in the pool while somebody films me? I mean, what the fuck, man? I'm gonna find some fake daughters to dance with. I'm gonna bother people at Ralph's. Everything became Jackass. Once everybody got a goddamn phone, everything became Jackass, and you're just trying to trick people to do dumb shit to try to get. I see, and this sounds like crotchety old man get off my lawn. I'm not. I think it's cool that young people have that. What I'm saying is I couldn't be fucking put into that world and make anybody fucking notice me, because they'd just be like, why is this grandpa on TikTok? But then she's telling me, like, she sent me a clip of a dude And he's just the mountain man looking dude. He's bald with a big fucking beard. And he's in his car and he's genuinely awestruck. And he's like, hey man, I don't understand this thing at all, this TikTok, but I've been doing this for a year now and I'm up over 3 million followers. And all I do is I don't know if I forget what he said he does. Something nonsense. You know what I mean? Like bird calls or he does some silly thing. And he gives away the ghost because he's just like, hey man, I don't know. I don't even do anything. Like I do this and you guys watch and I'm so grateful and I'm so happy that you guys are here and it makes me, it's just kind of crazy. But I don't know if he's monetized those 3 million people. I don't know what the fuck he's done. I got no clue. I have no idea. But he was genuinely fucking gobsmacked because he's like, I can't fucking believe that anybody's watching me do any of this nonsense. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I get that feeling sometimes too. But then again, at the same time, I'm the fucking talent. So I know that everybody loves me because I'm a fucking genius. But if I was on TikTok, am I going to be a bite-sized genius? Is that what I want to be? 30-second genius? I mean, I wouldn't mind if there was money in it. Yes, I'd be on fucking TikTok if there was goddamn money in it. But why the fuck? Because Lily's like, oh man, there's this thing going around TikTok where people are putting their balls in soy sauce. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? She goes, yeah. She goes, like kids and everybody, like they're doing this thing where they put their, I go, well, they're getting tricked into doing it, like fucking watching Two Girls, One Cup. She's like, no, it's like a thing. Like supposedly there are taste receptacles or receptors or whatever the fuck in your fucking ball sack. And so guys are putting their balls in soy sauce and then they can actually taste it like in their mouths. And I was like, that's just fucking dumb. Like that doesn't make any sense at all. She's like, I know, but it just goes around and they do it and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fuck that. I go, you know what? Let's just cut out the middleman. Let me put my balls in your mouth. You tell me what I had for lunch. And she started laughing. And then she's just like, see, that's the kind of thing you can do on TikTok. I'm like, no, I couldn't do that at all. What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. Everything's changed. It's all changed and that's fine. It's okay. It's passed me by and there's nothing wrong with passing me by. I should be passed by. I do Cameo. We got to shut that down now because you know who's on Cameo now? Michael Madsen. Michael Madsen is on fucking Cameo. And I'm like, well, I can't compete with fucking Michael Madsen. Jesus Christ. Now, I myself want to do 5 cameos so I can afford to have Michael Madsen give me a cameo, even though I met him already. But who the fuck cares? If he gave me a fucking video message, I'd save it for goddamn ever. And I don't even know if you can do that with Cameo, by the way. For the people I've done cameos for, like if I do a video message for you, can you save that video message or does it erase after I'm done talking? I get no idea. I'm on Cameo. Book me or book Michael Madsen for 5 times my fee, which I think it is. I think it's 5 times my fee, but I don't know. I can't tell. Can't remember. Whatever. Who the fuck? Hi. How you doing? I'm late. We're coming on to you Thursday afternoon now because I wound up. I got back in the car last night to drive. I've been putting it off, and I was gonna wait till February, but like cash is king, and so I had to fucking get in. And I had to, it's just weeknights are slow, but it was fine. I took a couple people to the airport, and I just it's back to normal. It's back to life, back to reality, as Soul to Soul would tell you back in fucking 1992. But that's okay. I don't mind. You gotta make everything happen, right? Isn't that how it is? I'm gonna try to paint a good face on it. Hey, no, it's cool. I truly don't mind. I'm happy that I can go ahead and drive people instead of make comedy my life. But that's my own fault. I got to make comedy my life. But I got to work it all in concert along with driving because you still got to pay those bills, baby. That's exactly what's got to happen. This is a boring show. Why the fuck? See, that's the thing. This is the issue. Because my life has just become boiled meat. That's what my whole fucking life is at this point. I go to the gym. I fucking work out. Although last week I did, you know what? I actually left the house like 4 times last week. Like I went out and did things, which is, that's pretty crazy, certainly. That's not crazy. People go out all the time, I guess. But for me, here's what I did last week, folks. I wound up immersing myself back in the world of comedy. Of stand-up. Yeah, isn't that weird? My buddy Pat Francis, he asked me if I wanted to go to a show first he asked me if I wanted to go to Story Smash on Saturday. And that was the show. I did that show before, I told you, and I thought I did very well. I've not been asked back yet. So when he was like, you want to go to Story Smash? I'm like, nah, because I don't, me, I get, when I'm in the audience at a comedy show, all I'm thinking is I want to go up on stage and fucking destroy this place. I get this thing inside me where I'm like, I'm a fucking killer. Like I can't, it's hard for me to be passive at a comedy show if I'm on the level of the comedians on the show, if I'm watching fucking Chappelle in a crowd or something like that, then it's not like I'm like, oh, I wish I could go up here and kill for these. Fuck that. I recognize the talent level. But if I go to a show and the people are in the same fucking boat as me, then I can just be like, oh, okay, well then I wish I could go up here, but no, I can't. I got to sit in the audience, but no, I want to go up here, but man, I want to fucking destroy this goddamn place. It's gradual. It builds while I'm watching the goddamn show. So he's like, you want to go to Story Smash? And I didn't. Like, I don't want to go watch people tell stories at a show that I already did and I know I can do really well at, and also that I didn't win at before, so I'm aching to get back on stage and win the fucking thing. But also I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to go and see Christine and put my face in front of her again and try to get, because again, she also has a podcast that I did, and dude, I did it, and then she ran my show, and then she also put me on the best of, but I haven't been asked back since, and it's fine, I guess. But it's also, I'm not exactly fucking proactive about promoting myself. You guys know this. So in my brain, I go, if you go to Story Smash, you can talk to Christine. That's a good idea. You can put yourself in front of Christine. And I said, all right, that's fine. So I told him, yeah. I said, of course I'll go. I'd like to. And then later on, this is a week ago. He's asking, or 2 weeks ago, he's asking me. A week and a half ago. It's 9 days. Now it was 11 p.m. on Shut the Fuck Up. So he then reaches out and he's like, hey, what are you doing Thursday? I go, I'm nothing. And he goes, do you want to go to a show tonight? And I'm like, what kind of show? And he sends me the flyer. And it's a comedy show. It's if you ever listen to Rock Solid Podcast, he has a co-host named Courtney Cronin Dodd or Courtney Cronin. I just know her as Courtney Cronin off the top of my head. But she hosts a comedy show once a month. And it's a show where they have music involved. Like, so a musician comes to the show and actually does stand-up in the middle of the show and then does music to close it out. And she's had fucking like John Corabi, I think, from Motley Crue did it, and Reb Beach. She's had a few, because she knows some metal people and stuff. So she got some real people in there to do the fucking show. And it doesn't, that's not a drawing point for me. The drawing point for me is I have to get back into comedy rooms. I have to go back and see what's up. So Pat is like, you want to go? And I said, yeah, fuck it. I'll go. So he comes and gets me. He had, I had to meet him. He had me meet him at the Rock Solid studio. And then we took a lift down to this place. It was at a place called the Grafton Hotel in Hollywood, directly across the street from the Comedy Store. And we showed up last Thursday, and it was, didn't have the biggest crowd. Literally, we walked in the door and we sat there waiting for the show to start. And both of us were like, this just takes us right back to, for me, I said, dude, it's 1991. It's fucking 1991 right now. Because I would go to these rooms, to do stand-up. And I'd be, you just sit in the back of the room waiting for the fucking the show to start. You're not doing anything. You're going over your notes. You're maybe commiserating with other comics. You're talking back and forth and stuff, and that's fine. But the majority of the time, you're just waiting. You're killing time, and that's what we were doing. We were waiting. We were killing time, waiting for the show to start. And I will tell you this. It was absolutely fun. It's like a drug for me. I don't mind it, But also you're sitting there and the only people in the room are comics and there's no audience people showing up. And Courtney's there and she's like, yeah, we're waiting on people and these people might come. And one of the reasons we went, like I said yes because I was going to go with Pat anyway. But also the cool thing was comedians that I know, Sharon Houston and Murray Valeriano, were on the bill. So we're like, all right, cool. Let's go check this out. We'll go see. We'll hang out with Murray. So I get to the Lift studio, or the fucking Rock Solid studio, and I'm like, yeah, Murray, and he's like, Murray canceled. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, Murray canceled tonight. I go, that is fucking insane. Like, I go, who else? I go, I know Sharon's there, and I couldn't remember the other person. And he goes, yeah, it's Murray, he canceled. I'm like, So we get to the club, and like I said, there's nobody there. There's just some comedians sitting around that I don't know. Again, I should say, I only know the comedians because they got pads of paper, they got notes, and they're looking at them as they're sitting down. They're kind of bullshitting with one another, so they know one another from the scene now these days. And I'm looking around for Sharon. There's no Sharon. Sharon canceled. So Sharon and Murray both canceled day of show, even though they're on the flyer. So I'm like, all right, well, that's fine. We'll see some of the new up and coming talent in Los Angeles. And I have to admit, it was fun to be audience member because we'd have to sit in the front. You know, that's another thing. I'll go hang out, but man, I'm not sitting in the front. I'm not going to have any comedian ask me, because that's the thing. When they start asking questions, or because in a small crowd, they want to talk. They want to talk to people. And don't talk to me, because it's going to be bad for you. It's going to be very bad for you, because I'm not going to play along. You're not going to make me look stupid. It's just going to be bad. So luckily at this show, we could sit kind of in the back. So we sat in the back. Pat orders a BLT. and I'm doing this fucking keto thing. So I looked at the menu. There wasn't much I could have, but he got me a salad, and that was fine. So I ate a dry salad, dude. And it's not even a joke. I picked all the croutons off and I ate a dry fucking salad. And I ate the tomatoes off his BLT because he doesn't like the tea. And then we watched comedy for the next 2 hours. And, Courtney, she puts together a great show. I asked her if there was a way I could do it, and she said, yes. I don't think I can do it in February because I think I think Pat and I are going to a concert the same night that they run it in February, and I don't even know if it'll go past February because there was no crowd last night, or last Thursday, I should say. The headliner was a guy named Mark Corona. I don't. That's wrong, but he's a guy from the Adam Carolla show. And the way it works is Courtney writes their stand-up for the musician, and then he does the stand-up, and then he plays songs. And he was playing. We finally bailed. I'll tell you this too. We saw like 5 comedians. The oldest comedian we saw, I think, was 26. So I'm twice that person's age. There was a woman who was 22 who went up, and it was the same. I have to be in these rooms because I have to see kind of the direction things are going in, and you can't age yourself out. You can't have bad references. You can't, nobody wants to hear me go up and talk about the Brady Bunch and shit like that, because that shit's that's dead. That's of a time, and that time has passed. So sure enough, this they're mentioning Tinder, and they're talking about Tinder dates, and they're talking about hookups and stuff, and that's a young person's game, which is totally fine. But it was funny. Each one of them had some parallel like that, where they talked about meeting somebody online for a date. That was kind of a through line for all of them. I think we saw 5 comics, not counting the musician. And, I can't say the comics were good. I can't say they were bad, because they're in a room with there's no audience. There's like 4 audience members, and then people drifting in and out of the hotel bar. So they did the best they could. I've been in that position where you do the best you can. You just fucking plow through. But I will say the girl she was very shouty. She was yelling and aggressive. And her big thing was talking about she wasn't sure if she was a lesbian or not. And she was trying to figure it out and stuff. And her dad, and then, she had a family friend, and she hit whatever the fuck. I'm not going to do her material. But it was both educational and invigorating, because, again, it made me go, well, I can do this. Because that's the thing, is I keep questioning going on stage, because I don't know, like, well, what do I have to offer? Am I any good at this anymore? And that's I don't know why that barrier exists in me. I don't know why. I know I'm good enough. I know I can do this. I know that I can go. I mean, dude, if I can't do 5 minutes on stage, then kill me. And especially after seeing those people, nothing against them. All right. They're all starting out. They're at a different point. That's the main thing. They're at a very different point in their careers than I am, or their development. They're all starting out. They're all learning to be this. I've been doing this for fucking almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years in 2021. And if I can't go up on stage, then what the fuck is wrong with me, man? But it's because I haven't done the work, in my opinion. I don't trust myself enough to go up with a short set, or to go and do... I put out a 2-hour comedy album every goddamn week. I understand this, but it gets in the way. And so I'm going to these places to kind of imbue myself with the confidence that I can do this sort of thing again. So we had a good time. Courtney was super nice, but it was, again, educational, because I got to see a little bit of what these people are all talking about now. And again, like I said, I can't Because Pat and I would look at each other. Here's something else that I did during the night. I would rewrite jokes. Every time one of them would do something, I would look at Pat and I'd go, see, if you say this, you can do this later, or this word doesn't belong, or that's another reason why it's hard for me to go to comedy sometimes, because I wind up doing all that on the fly. I do punch up in my head of people's acts the whole time. And you're and you're like, well, Mike, you arrogant fuck, why don't you do that with your own act instead of punching up somebody else's act? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's a puzzle solving thing. It's curiosity, and I enjoy doing it. I like punching up somebody else's material. I've always enjoyed doing that. So everybody that went up, they would do a joke, and I'd go, no, you don't give that away here, because that's the reveal. I mean, I've talked to you guys about it before, where it's like, you can't, like when they did that Joker thing on Saturday Night Live, and he said, why, Oscar, you're such a grouch, like right in the beginning of the bit. Now you give away the whole Sesame Street premise. You don't have to fucking do that. Trust people to catch up. And listening to these people again, but also that's the thing, is I'm rewriting their acts, but they're learning their acts. They're on stage doing whatever. So, and Pat, every time I would do it, he'd mime a pen, and then he'd point at them like, oh, you should give them these notes. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. What am I, fucking comedy sage? Hello, I used to do this, and I thought I'd be successful, but I wasn't. So here's these notes for your act. Please take them with the spirit they're intended. Nah, fuck that, dude. I'm not wizened old comedy sage. But again, seeing them emboldened me to thinking I could do it, to thinking I could get up and do this again. I mean, is it hard to do? But like I told you, the whole work part is sitting for 2 hours waiting to get on stage in a room of like 8 people. And there was a dude. It was funny. There was a dude who wouldn't stop talking. Like, he was on stage and he went very long, and as he did it, like, people walked out of the room. And as a comic, I know that feeling, because you're like, dude, shut the fuck up. I mean, you're walking people. I'm next. Let me talk to real people. Don't just fucking let me talk to comedians. But sometimes people they believe, they fucking, they just get ahead of themselves, and they keep talking and talking and talking, and because they don't get the opportunity to go up often enough, or they see the opportunity to work a crowd or work an audience. And that's also something that's working against you when you go to a comedy room. It's guys who go over, guys who burn premises, guys who talk to people in the crowd, and then the people just leave because they don't want to be talked to by every comedian all fucking night long. It's rough, but you're watching it, and that's the shit you learn by going to do it. That's not the stuff you learn sitting in your house and hoping you can go. And now it's incumbent upon me to go out and start doing stuff, and it's coming. It's it's coming. Last night, Wednesday, my brother Lenny was in town. He had a set. He's like in Van Nuys, and I said, hey, I think I'm going to tag along, because again, like I said, I want to go to comedy rooms. And he's like, all right, cool. He goes, I can actually get you a set if you want. And I went, no. And he laughed. He's like, why not? I go, dude, I haven't been on to do a short set other than Story Smash at other than Podfest. Like, I've done it once a year, probably for a few years. And so I wasn't going to go up. I mean, I could vamp through it. Certainly I could do whatever the fuck, but I didn't want to insult as I've said before, I don't want to insult the real comedians that are working by going in and just fucking jerking off because I'm trying to learn. But I mean, but that's what I have to do eventually. But I didn't want to do it last night because my brother was on the show. And yes, also, I wasn't sure I could pull off a short set. I wasn't. But that's what gets in my way. That's the thing, is I have to convince myself I can pull off a short set. I have to start writing a short fucking set. I have to start writing short sets, period. So I didn't go. But I would have gone with Lenny anyway, but then I had to cancel because I had to get back in the car last night, because money is a thing that we all need to pay bills. So Pat asked if I wanted to go to Story Smash on Saturday, and I did. And we wound up going to that, and we sat in the audience and we watched people tell stories. And again, the thing about Story Smash, I truly enjoy the format. I think it's great. Every comedian goes up and tells a 1-minute story, and then every comedian tells a 2-minute story, and then when you get to the finals, you can tell a 3-minute story. If you get to the finals, there's 5 comedians. So they do 5 first round, 5 second round, and then they trim it to 2 for the final round. And Pat and Pilar were with me there. It was great. We had a good time. It was fun. Again, Pat. super nice. He went to the bar and then he bought food for the table, but he bought hummus and he bought fries. I can't eat any of that shit. But that was okay. He's not supposed to buy me food anyway. It's fine. And then we watched the show, and one of my friends, a guy that I know from comedy, Mark Fernandez, was on the show, which was great. And then there was a woman named Dawn Brody, and then a woman named Christine Georges, and a guy named Mark Alonzo, possibly. I don't remember his name. Lazardo? Mark Larazan? I don't fucking know. And then an audience member went up and did his thing. And I told you about Story Smash before. You know about the format. So we watched it, and I was just fucking vibrating because I wanted to get up and tell stories. It's a full room. You want to go up and murder them. You want the opportunity to go up and tell. And also, I'm watching the people tell stories, and the judges are all like, that was a fantastic story. You're an amazing storyteller. That was brilliant. And I'd be going, they just meandered through 60 seconds. And I'm not going to, like I said, what the fuck? I'm very critical, and I look at things in a way where, I understand we're all trying to be charitable to one another and all that kind of thing, especially in that show. You don't want to go, man, you sucked. I mean, clearly you don't want to do that. But in my head, I'm like, if the judges are saying that this stuff is fucking amazing, like I want to get up there and fucking waylay this room. So I'm buzzing and vibrating, in the same deal where I keep looking at Pat and Pilar, and this is when I can get annoying, and I recognize this. The people would tell the stories, and the judges would be like, that was amazing, it was outstanding, it was unbelievable. And I'd look at Pilar and I'd go, was it? I mean, am I crazy? That wasn't astonishing or amazing at all, correct? And then I'd go, look, ignore me. I know I'm a bitter pill, and I don't mean to be, and I'm not trying to do this. I just, it's part of what's inside me. You know what I mean? Where I'm so desperate to go out and do it and get the acclaim, and yet I don't do it. And then I watch other people and I go, I could do this. It's, maybe you guys have that. I have no idea, where you just, it's so weird to know that you are great at something and then not let yourself do that great thing. And then watch other people do that thing and go, well, I could do this. I can do this. I can do this. But then you don't do it. It's a weird crossroads of my brain. I can't explain it. Now, I'd love to do Story Smash. Again, I can't do that unless I'm booked for it. So then afterwards, I went and I talked to Christine, and she was lovely. And I was like, hey, I'm available to do this whenever you would need me. I'd love to come back. And she goes, oh my God, you were so great last time. And I go, yes, I would love to come back. Because the last time I was there, I think was July or August. So yeah, it's 6 months. And she's like, oh yeah, of course, we'll definitely have you back. But I don't have any fucking faith in that. And I'm not going to, because that's another thing, is I don't want to fucking constantly write and go, oh please, oh please, oh please. Because you just look like a fucking tool bag. But that's the gig. You got to hustle. You got to book yourself. You got to make yourself known. You got to see that you're there. And I'm so bad at that part of it. I just, because you know me. And look, this show is certainly no indication, but I'm the talent. And I think I'm great at what I do. And I'm excited to get out there and do it. And I want to do it. But also, the last thing I want to do is tell anybody how good I am at it. The last thing I want to do is tell anybody, oh man, I'm fucking great. You should have me. I should be on your show. I should be there. That's just so fucking foreign to me to go out there and I mean, I'll do it, like I said, in bursts here. Hey, I'm the fucking talent. God damn it, I fucking destroy. But then to go tell somebody else that, you're just like, and I don't know, maybe it's because then you're setting yourself up where you actually have to produce. Could that be it? Could my touting myself as being great be a doorway to then having to prove that I was great? And that's what's holding me back? I don't know. Because I know I'm fucking great. I do. And, people will bring up stuff from old shows. My buddy Seth texted me last week, and he's like, dude, I was listening to an old show. He goes, and just thinking about you saying you had to pick up used peanut shells off the ground and sharpen them to fight your way through all the cholos in Dodger Stadium was cracking me up. And I was like, God damn, that's funny. Like, where is that bit? Like, what? I don't even know. That's the thing. I got to go back and listen to all these fucking shows. They have all the fucking bits that I could possibly have to do on stage. So I recognize that, you know, like I said, I'm good at what I do. I also say nobody can do what I do, whatever the fuck. But then I don't ever do it. I don't prove it. And the only thing like that's coming to mind right now is maybe because if I then book myself, then you got to prove it. Then you got to prove that you're as good as you say you are. And is that what it is? Is that what's blocking me? Even at 52? Even after years of stand-up? Even after years of going out to see you guys and doing the one man for fucking 3 hours at a time? Is that what it is? I don't know. So we saw Christine. That was fun. And talked to her and her boyfriend Tom. And and look, I'm going to say this. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck. It's not going to get me in trouble. They have judges on Storyworthy. And when I was there, it was fucking, I think I told you it was fucking Danny Zucker, the guy who created Modern Family, and Blanca Patch, who's a fucking genius. And then some old granny. I don't even know what the fuck she is, but she's written stuff for the New York Times and everything. She's weirdly great. She didn't get me at all. She thought I was fucking scary, and that's fine. But dudes, the judges this week were Ed Krasnick, an actor. He's been on The Sopranos, among other things, a bunch of different stuff. I recognized him. He's been in commercials. He was great. Did a nice job. And then Danny Zucker was there, and Danny Zucker is he's their mainstay. As Christine calls him, he's the Simon Cowell of Story Smash. So he's there, and he's, the point is being a judge, you get to talk the whole night. So you get to try to be funny all night long, and Danny does, and he does very well. People are there to see Danny, I think. There are actually people who pay to see Danny. So that's great. And then they had the third judge. Now, I mentioned when it was me, they had some kind of like fucking granny who I didn't know or recognize, and that's fine. She didn't care for me, but that's fine. It's not really fine. She's wrong, but whatever. But dudes, the judge last Saturday, the third judge was a woman named Amy Efron, who I assume is a writer of some note. I believe she's Nora's sister. Nora Ephron, who we all know from her films and her writings and her scripts and things like that. Can I think of one now? Of course I can't. Did she do like fucking... She did the Nicholson movie, right? Didn't she do fucking As Good as It Gets? Is that her? I don't fucking know. But I know she's famous. She did a million different things. Well, Amy Efron is her sister. And as the night progresses, people are telling stories. And every time they come to her to judge, she you know what it was? She sounded like Lorraine Newman with autism. Does that make any fucking sense? Because she had the same kind of voice as Lorraine Newman. She was fucking awful. I can't even sugarcoat it. I can't be like, well, she had a tough night. No, man, she missed the point of stories. She would compliment things that didn't happen. Like Dawn Brody was really great. She won. And she told some fun stories, and she told them well. And then Amy Efron would say something like, oh my gosh, you're a master of dialects, and you brought them out in that story. And I'm like, no, there were no dialects. She didn't do any voices at all. What the fuck are you talking about? Where are you at? Are you even listening? Are you even here? What the fuck's going on? And I wasn't wrong. Pat and Pilar felt the same way. When we look at each other, you could hear us rolling our eyes. The whole room. Every time Amy Efron would open her mouth, they were just like, shut up. Oh my God, stop. Because she would take things too literally. My buddy Mark told the story. They'd sandbag Mark because there was this thing where there's a space in the wheel called audience choice or whatever. And the audience yelled out coyotes. And the judges picked that. They go, tell a story about coyotes. And then actually, to their credit, Danny Zucker, I think, went, dude, that's fucking weird. We can't have him tell a coyote story. And Mark's like, no, I got a coyote story. And they said, okay, cool, tell it. So he told the story. And it was fine. It was a story about being in a neighborhood, seeing a coyote while he was walking his dog, and the coyote stared him down, and fucking, it was, and the main thing is the coyote literally, so the coyote walked out, and they froze, and the coyote walked over and like squatted and did what, and took a shit on the street, but stared at Mark the entire fucking time. Like, hey, buddy, you're not fucking getting out of this. And Mark told it infinitely better than I just did, and it ended, and people clapped, and again, just the very fact that you could manifest a fucking coyote story out of nothing, that it really, and that's fine because it's not on the wheel. You're not prepared for it. And then Amy Efron was like, such a scatological story. You had to tell a story, and it ended on that note of scat, and terrible filth or whatever the fuck. And Mark is just like, what do you want me to do? That's the story. And she's like, yeah, I know, but you didn't have to end on it being so aggressive where the coyote, and he goes, that was the story. And Mark's stood his ground, thankfully, because she was just fucking dumb. And I again, missed the point of all stories and holding. Look, if you're going to judge a story contest, you don't judge it and go, oh, well, certainly you said the F word several times, so I couldn't possibly. You know what I mean? Fuck you. You're there to fucking judge a goddamn story. You're not judging the way, I guess the way it's told to, whatever the fuck. I don't know. It was just, she was all wrong, dude. She was all fucking wrong. And every time she had to judge something or talk to somebody, she was such a fucking mystery. Like it was like somehow on the way to the club, somebody had hit her in the head with a dinner plate, and she was just still spinny the entire time she was judging. She was so fucking off. And I mean, everybody knew it. Everybody would kind of glance around the room because she wouldn't shut the fuck up. And poor Christine, she's hustling and trying to get names. So she's just like, oh my God, Amy Efron, I'm so glad you're here. It's just great. And, I haven't talked to her since, but I want to go, hey, was Amy Efron all you dreamed she'd be? Because that was a fucking nightmare, man. It was fucking terrible. But also, because Christine is trying to get these people to do her show and keep her show on the radar, I'm sure she's not going to badmouth her, which I don't blame her. What the fuck? And Amy Efron might be a name, but I don't give a fuck. I don't even do anything with Amy Efron. She was fucking terrible. And I don't know if she's fried from drugs or she's just fucking bananas. I got no clue. But dude, she missed stories. She didn't hear endings. But then there was a girl on the show who, this girl, Christine. I don't know, Christine. And she's lovely and she does her style. Was it for me? Nah. But she did whatever, and Amy Efron was taken with her and kept telling her that she was a brilliant person and she was genius. Oh, and she told stories about stripping because this chick's a stripper. And she told a story about a friend who tried to commit suicide, but she tried to make it funny. and Amy Efron was like, you're so brave. You're so brave to come here with these stories and tell these. And to this chick's credit, she wasn't having that. She'd just be like, well, no, it wasn't, she didn't commit suicide. She literally jumped into traffic. It's not like, it wasn't a big deal. And Amy Efron's like, well, it's so brave for you to tell this story. I don't know if you've ever consulted with this person to share her story in a public space, but you're both very brave for going through that together. I mean, just this dumb, it's a comedy show, man. And I mean, you can tell stories that are bittersweet or whatever the fuck, but you can tell by tone. But this Christine chick, believe me, she was not trying to be bittersweet. She was wearing a fucking, it doesn't matter what she was wearing, but she kept flipping her hair and being funny and going, fuck, and yelling. And Amy Efron treated her like she was fucking Emily Bronte. It was like, he's so brave. These confessional stories that you're telling about working as a stripper. And the girl's just like, I worked as a stripper. It wasn't a big deal. She's like, no. And I guess she also banged one of her college professors. So then this woman's like, Amy Efron's just like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through that. And the girl's like, it got me a good grade. I was okay with it. And she's like, I can't understand why you went through it, but I mean, good for you. And good for you for not saying his name, but also at the same, and I'm just like, what are you doing? You fucking, this charlatan, this Me Too pretender. Quit acting like you're on women's side or something. She misinterpreted it completely. I mean, because Christine Curtis was not a victim. She was telling a story and owning it. She owned the fact that she's a stripper. She's happy about it. She was thrilled. She's making money. She told the story about the college professor. She was thrilled. She was telling these stories because she owned them already. She wasn't confessing anything where she was like, I had to sleep with the college professor for a grade, or I had to work as a stripper, or my friend tried to kill herself. She was like, yeah, we're walking and my buddy jumped into traffic. She just did. She was crazy. She was telling it in a funny way, but this chick spun it where it was like crazy serious. Amy Efron, don't get anywhere near her. She's fucking awful. Just really, she's just not great. I wasn't a fan. So I wound up, it was great to go out to shows. I still have to work on myself and how I feel in those rooms, I got the bug again because I've become friends with there's a comedian. He's, my brother Lenny, I drive him to and from the airport or to and from the port because he works on the cruise ships. Well, there's a comedian named Jeff that he knows, and I've become good friends with Jeff. And I'm taking Jeff to and from the pier or the airport. He's very nice. He's very generous. He pays me to do it, and I like doing it because I get to talk. I get to hang out with him for an hour or so and talk. We talk comedy. We talk plans. And this is a guy. Jeff had a sitcom at NBC. I mean, Jeff has. When I was coming up, Jeff was a big deal. He was working all over the place. He was in clubs constantly. And he had a show called Jeff's Big Daddy's Barbecue. And he would play it in theaters. He would do it for weeks at a time. And he used to book the LA Cabaret. He had a ton of heat, and he was doing extremely well. And as is with our world, with our comedy world, things change. You get older. You maybe miss your window to be on television or those things, but and you can quit. You can bail. You can do whatever you want to do. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have found podcasting, so it provides an outlet for me. Even if I'm not hustling, going out and doing clubs, I can still do the best I can to be as funny as I can and bring a show to everybody every week. And it's brought me more followers than I ever thought. More listeners, more people in my corner, supporters, rooting for me to do the right thing. And Jeff, he was, like I said, he was at NBC. He was making a deal for Big Daddy's Barbecue to be a sitcom. He's done all the late night shows. I mean, he's just that guy. And so talking to him, it's this unique perspective because now he's 10 years older than me, maybe a little more, but he still makes his living from comedy. He's on the ships every month. He's doing that. He doesn't do a ton of club work now. But also he's an inspiration because he still hustles. Which, I'm 52 and my great regret is that I must admit I've probably never hustled. Not in the way a lot of people do. Not in the way like my friends do. Like Graham hustles and people like that, I kind of tripped through comedy and took what came. Mike Toomey took me under his wing in Chicago. Rex Havens took me under his wing in Chicago. And these were guys who they took me on the road. I made money because I'd be on the road. Now, did I ever aspire to be a headliner? No, man. I just wanted to go out with my buddies and do stand-up and make some money. Burt Borth took me under his wing, made me the house MC at the Naperville Funny Bone. So I always worked every week. Every week I was either doing comedy in Naperville. My neighbor's making a noise. I was doing comedy in Naperville at the Bone, or I was on the road doing stand-up as a feature. And I would also go out and do my own feature work. I mean, I did hustle to try to get zanies. I hustled to get work with Ken Muller and work and do my own stuff where I would drive around a middle. But because I was so content, because the middle act that's just a fucking easy chair of comedy. Like there's no pressure on you. You're not opening the show to a cold crowd and you're not closing the show while checks drop. You're in the middle. You just get to be funny. That's really all I've ever wanted I just wanted to be funny. Of course, I've also wanted to earn a living at it. And as a middle act, you're not going to fucking do that. But I didn't see that coming. I settle all the time. We know this. I settled as a middle act. I would write on shows and I would settle in and I would not hustle and try to do stand-up to try to make my career better. And then the writing gig would end and I'd be like, what now? Well, if you'd been doing stand-up the entire 6 months, you'd maybe have a fucking thing. You'd be going somewhere. And I will tell you this, as I'm going to jerk myself off here for a second. The very fact that I would settle and never really aspire to, hustle and that sort of thing, and yet still had auditions for Conan, still had name comedians come to me and go, man, you're fucking funny. That's a two-sided coin. One, it shows that I'm not wrong, my instincts are correct, that I am really good at this. And two, it's just a shame. Because they saw it in me and I didn't do anything with it. I mean, I'm doing this show, but you know what I mean. So to be with Jeff gives me a unique perspective because Jeff hustled and he hit, he had the apex. He almost had his own name sitcom on fucking NBC. He was in meetings. He did all these things, and he's booked people. He's opened for Johnny Mathis. He knew Jerry Lewis. He became friends with him. Like he ran with these names, and even now, this is what when I say inspiring, because again, like I said, he's older than me, but he's still working. He's doing stand up, but also this dude is still putting together pitches. Like he has an idea. Like I drove him. He asked me. I took him to a meeting. He had a meeting with a name guy. I can't say who, but there's a talent producer or an agent and a big name. And Jeff had a lunch with him. Jeff's like, "Hey, can you take me? Because I don't feel like driving down there." I'm like, "Sure." So I hustled him down there, and he met and he pitched the guy, and he got a development deal out of it. So now he's developing a show. And I was so proud of him. I'm happy for him. You know what I mean? He because he doesn't stop working. He does videos on YouTube now, where he's doing political commentary or just commentary about life. Because he and I are very different. He's a conservative. He's an older guy. He thinks Trump's an idiot, but at the same time, he doesn't dismiss him completely out of hand. And so he'll talk about politics. I don't, you know what I mean? It's not because politics is sports now, and I don't have any interest in going back and forth on it. But he's not one of these bullies who will just be like, it's this way. Like he'll take in all sides. Like right now he's fascinated by Andrew Yang. It's not even about policies and things. He's more fascinated about the connection that he's made with the Asian community and things like that. And so he talks about that on YouTube, and he just, he's an older comedian, but he's still curious, and he's still learning, and he's still trying to get better and be good. He hasn't settled into his ways. He doesn't have his old act. I mean, he was writing bits in the car last time I picked him up. He's like, yeah, I got this, and I'm trying to turn it into this, and I'm trying to make it this, and that's the mindset. That's the mindset I got to get back into. It's the mindset Lenny's in, because I picked up Lenny just the other day. He came home from New York, and Lenny's like, yeah, there was this thing where I was seeing people from New York and the people from L.A. He goes, but it was a weird, because everybody tells me, and whatever, he starts discussing it, and I'm like, yeah. I go, there's something there, definitely. And I miss that. God, I miss it desperately, to have comedians to bounce stuff off of. But at the same time, I don't miss it, because that would mean that I have to have stuff to bounce off people. And that would mean I have to work. Man, it's so odd to have two completely compelling forces within you fighting against one another. The one that wants you to do the thing that you're best at in the world and go out and make something of yourself, and the other that wants to do absolutely fucking nothing. It's like having the fastest fucking boat you could ever possibly imagine, just a tuned up fucking speed cigar boat that'll go 200 miles an hour, but you also have the fucking world's heaviest anchor and you throw it off the back. So you're revved up and fucking rolling and churning and causing foam everywhere, but you're not going anywhere. It's strange. So Jeff one night asked me if I would take him to the Comedy Store. He was doing there's a comedian named Argus Hamilton. And Argus, he's been around fucking forever. This dude was, when I first came to LA, he was a big name at the store. He was also banging Mitzi. He was Mitzi's guy for a very long time. And so he was on every night, man. I believe he did the Tonight Show. And look, I'm not saying he got where he got because he was banging Mitzi, but he was a comedian who also hustled and worked and did all that. But he was there for the strike at the store. I mean, he was here for all the era of Coke when it was here, then it went away, and now that it's back, he's back again. He's never gone away. Argus works at the store all the fucking time. And apparently Argus has a cable access show. I don't know if it's cable access or internet or whatever, but he has a talk show. And he asked Jeff to be on it. Because Jeff knows Argus from the fucking old days. So Jeff's like, of course, sure. So he asked me if I would take him. He's like, you can drop me off and just go kill time in Hollywood. I'll text you when I'm done, whatever, we'll figure it out. So I said to him, I go, no. I go, you're filming the show? He goes, yeah. And I go, well, I want to watch you film the show. He goes, come on, you don't want to watch me film the show. I get it, and that's how comedians are. He's like, you don't want to fucking watch me on this fucking thing. Who cares? But he also, I could tell, he really wanted me to watch him film the show. It was important to him. I could tell. And it was important to me. And also, it couldn't hurt to show my face in there because who the fuck knows, right? So I said, no, I want to stay. And he goes, all right, cool. I go, but parking's a nightmare down there. He goes, well, Argus told me I could just park in the lot, so don't worry about it. Now, that's a big deal, too, because the Comedy Store is a zoo, and the lot is verboten. I mean, verboten, whatever the fuck, however you pronounce it. You can't go in the fucking lot because it's reserved for people. So we go down to the store, and we pull in, and we're in the lot, and, I don't know what the fuck, dude. He goes, just tell the guys I'm here for Argus's talk show, Jeff said. So the guy, the way the Comedy Store works is they have an army of free labor from comedians. I don't know, I'm sure they get paid as well, but they also work there because they're trying to get sets. They'll do 5 minutes a night to work the door for 4 hours, or to work the parking lot, or whatever. So we pulled in, and there's a kid, he's probably 28, and I parked. Or no, I'm sorry, I pulled in and I was about to park, and then he goes, whoa, hey, what are you doing? I said, we're here for Argus's show. He goes, you're just attending it, or are you a guest? And I go, no, my friend's a guest. I go, but Argus said we could park in the lot. He goes, yeah, Argus says that, but it's probably not right. You shouldn't be parking in the lot because they need the spaces. And I go, okay. I go, well, what do you suggest? And Jeff is sitting there quietly in the passenger seat. And the guy goes, yeah, you should probably just go find street parking or something. But yeah, because we need the spots in the lot, for comedians and whomever. And I go, well, my friend is a comedian. He's on the show tonight. And he goes, is he in the showroom? He's not. He's on Argus's show, so it's a little different. So you're going to have to park on the... And Jeff just goes, hey. And the guy looks at him and he goes, my name's on the wall. The guy goes, really? He goes, yeah. And the guy goes, oh, you were a regular? And he goes, yeah, I'm a regular. I used to work here. I did your job. And the guy just goes, all right, park wherever you want. And we pulled up, and Jeff just goes, motherfucker, who does he think he's fucking talking to? And I'm like, I just laughed because Jeff is super mild-mannered. I mean, he's a super cool guy. He's very nice. But when that guy was just giving us the shit, I just, for Jeff to pull rank, I'd never seen it. I didn't imagine it would happen, but he did it because you know what? Because the guy was being very dismissive of us. And Jeff, it was in that moment, Jeff was like, all the dues I've paid, and I'm going to have some fucking 28-year-old with a beard tell me I can't park in a lot? Fuck that. And Jeff's like, hey, my name's on the wall. Because if you go to the Comedy Store, there's names, all the regulars' names are on the wall. And so we parked, and I looked at him and I go, look at you stepping up. But he goes, nah. He goes, you know what? I worked here too long to have a guy like that tell me I can't park here. He goes, and I know he's only doing his job because I did the same thing. He goes, but yeah, you can't. Argus said I could park. He goes, and you can tell he's a little sheepish about doing it, but at the same time, we all know who we are. We all know what we've done, and we all take pride in it. And he wasn't about to get fucking shoved out. He's like, fuck that. I earned this fucking parking spot. So we get out, we walk over. And the first thing he does is he takes me over and he shows me where his name is. It's on the outside wall. And he asked me if I would take a couple of photos with him. And so I did. He's under the name, and I took photos of him it's on the awning. And we walked around. And I actually saw a comedian I knew. She was working the door, Carmen Morales, who's, goddamn, she's really funny. If you get a chance to see Carmen Morales, you should see her. She's great. And she was there, and she's she's a little fucking... She doesn't take any shit from anybody, but she's also super nice. She's great. I mean, I dig her. I like her whole persona. So I talked to her a little bit, and then Jeff was there, and Jeff, and all the times I've seen him, it's just me and him. I pick him up at his house. I take him to the fucking pier or whatever. I take him to the airport. I pick him up. We talk about the boat, and he gives me the lowdown on whatever the fuck. He's hustling. He's trying to make his deals. But then as we're standing there, we're not there 5 minutes. And someone walks out of the store and goes, Jeff Wayne? And Jeff looks at him and goes, hey! And it was I forget the guy's name. I don't know. And he gives Jeff a hug. He's like, what are you doing? Where have you fucking been? And they start talking. And Jeff is a king. He, like I told you, I know Jeff from in and out of the car. I know his name from the past. I know I know that he had the sitcom at NBC. I know he was in Vegas for weeks at a time. I know he'd play big theaters. I know those things. But when he was doing that, I was scrambling. I was still a middle act. I was trying to make the end. Look, I'm still a fucking middle act, but I was still trying. So I only know him as a person, one-on-one. I didn't know comedy Jeff. I was never in the comedy room with him. But he would destroy. I mean, I knew it even then. You would hear his name. And this guy comes out, and there's this reverence where he can't believe Jeff's there. And Jeff's explaining, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I got this show in development. I got these things. And this is before he had the development deal. He was still working on the script and stuff and the idea and the pitch. And another guy walks out and goes, "Oh my God, Jeff Wayne." And now these two dudes, and then Carmen looks at me and she goes, "Oh, I guess your friend is somebody." And I go, "Yeah, I guess he is." And Jeff's talking to these guys, and it's guys that are, older. The room is crawling with young people because they're all there to see comedy and hope to see some drop in or see Tony Hinchcliffe or whatever the fuck, and that's great. People like Carmen who are in the formative years of their careers. But Jeff is a guy who already made it and might be past it, but never stopping and never admitting it and just fucking still killing, going out. I mean, this dude's 64 or whatever the fuck, makes a living from comedy, still goes on the ships, goes on the boats, makes people laugh, pitching shows, hustling, writing scripts, doing YouTube, trying to figure out what he can do to stay relevant. And these two dudes walk out and just confirm his relevancy from the past while he's remaining relevant in the present. So they talk to him and they're just going crazy, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm in Argus's show." They're like, "Well, you got to go downstairs eventually," and people are coming in and going for shows, and I'm in the hallway, and Jeff finds his headshot. We take a photo of him with his headshot, and his name's on another part of the wall, so we take a photo of that, and we find another headshot in the front of the club. It's a scavenger hunt for Jeff's past. But it's fucking great, because I know him as, sometimes the ships will beat you down, and I pick him up and he's been flying for 11 hours and he's tired and he's a little down, but he's always gracious and fun and nice. But this time I'm seeing him, the second those guys recognize him, he's in his element, and he's a comedian, and he's talking, and he's vibrant, and he's alive, and he's feeling respected, and he's back home. That's what I would say. He's fucking back home. And I will tell you what, seeing him there, and then we're walking through, and he's saying hi to people. He's saying hi to there was a doorman who actually who still knew Jeff. You know what I mean? A guy, I didn't even think he was a doorman. He might have been a manager, but he was just at the door. It was phenomenal. It was, and seeing Carmen and seeing Jeff, it was like seeing the ghosts of comedy, past, present, and future. Seeing Jeff reliving his past, coming out of his shell and being who he is, and then seeing Carmen, who's firmly in the present and all about the future. It was quite an experience. And then they're up in the showroom. The main room is that's the giant room. Then I think the belly room is the one upstairs. I couldn't tell you the original room. Regardless, the front showroom is packed. And I'm in the hallway, Jeff's talking. I'm keeping my distance. I'm not going to fucking schmooze with these guys. They don't know the fuck I am. What am I going to say? I got a podcast? Who the fuck cares? But I'm in the room and I'm smelling liquor. And waitresses are going in and out. And I'm hearing the sink as they wash the glasses. And then I'm hearing the clink of bottles as they're pouring drinks and they're bringing them out to the room. And I'm hearing laughter. Laughter from the room coming out into the hallway. Laughter from the back. And it just fucking hit me that this is all I want to do again. This is all I want to do. I lived in clubs. I lived hearing the staff going in and putting in food orders and then, getting beer and running it and the beer bottles clinking into the fucking trash and hearing the laughter come out of the fucking room. That's, when it's working, there's nothing fucking better. When you're on stage and it's working, there's nothing better. And I can hear whoever is in there just killing. And then but the weirdest thing was the sounds of the fucking kitchen, the clinking and the bottles and the placing of orders and pick this up, and that really brought it home for me. That was the real nostalgia. So Jeff is commiserating. He comes and finds me. He's like, let's go downstairs. So I didn't even know they had, it's like a fucking bomb shelter at the bottom of the Comedy Store. I didn't even know it existed. There's this door that's hidden in a wall that's painted black, and there's a recessed handle. You open it, and there's a stairway downstairs. There's a whole fucking studio. There's a recording studio down there with fucking cameras and the whole deal. It's like a television studio, which made me laugh because all I could think about was if there's a zombie apocalypse or something happens terrible in the world, there will be a group of rebels hiding in the basement of the Comedy Store, transmitting and trying to find people. some kind of weird zombie resistance talk show, but featuring fucking Carlos Mencia. You know what I mean? It would just be awful. Like it would be Comedy Central, but only because it would be centrally located in the Comedy Store. It was like a whole new take on the channel. And these motherfuckers would be down there with fucking cameras and shit trying to reach the resistance or something, but at the same time doing fucking jokes about zombies. What a fucking mess. But it was downstairs, man, and we get down there and the place has there's people in there. And I think they're friends of Argus's because I don't want to be this guy. They're old. All right. They're kind of fucking crinkly and wrinkly and something else that rhymes with inkly. And that's them. You know what I mean? They're fine. It made me think of the old joke. Look, I can't see you out there, but just so I know it was the Beatles said just rattle your jewelry when they did a show for the Queen, I think it was. And that's what I felt like. I mean, because it was a room of it was like walking back into 1978. It was a bunch of old people downstairs. Argus is getting ready. He's getting his hair done, touched up at the desk. And I'm with Jeff, and I don't fucking know anything. Jeff knows Argus, and Jeff knows, he recognizes some faces. He sees some people. And one of the coolest things is it's Argus's show, but it's all these young comedians running it. There's young comedians running the camera. There's young comedians spiffing up. And I think they write it as well. Argus does too. Argus used to have, this is completely true, Argus used to have a humor column that ran syndicated in newspapers all over America. I remember once reading him in the Daily Oklahoman when I was on the road once. It would just be a fucking thing of jokes because he's a joke machine. He's a writer. He writes topical, and he writes the stuff. If you hear it now, because comedy changed. Obviously, it's not a 1-line, 2-line business anymore. But he has that niche, and that's who he is. So I think he and the young guys write it. And I don't know if they look at it as interning in comedy or working for a legend, and if he looks like he's getting free labor, maybe he pays them. I don't know, because I don't know if they make any fucking money off this goddamn thing. But who cares? He's got a fucking studio, and it's literally a television show that he's recording, even though it's not on TV. So we go downstairs, and Jeff is the guest, along with another guy, a comedian named Brent Morin, who I was not familiar with. I'd heard the name and seen it listed at the Improv and stuff, but I've never seen his act. So we go downstairs and Jeff says his hellos and stuff. I just kind of fucking hang in the background because I don't want to be that guy. But Jeff is being very gracious and introducing me to people. And he's very nice. And and again, you know me, and this is a foolish thing, but he'll be like, Mike's a comedian. And I'll be like, nah, nobody cares. That thing where don't say, because again, we're in the Comedy Store. Everybody's a fucking comedian. And I know that's currency in this town where you walk up to people, you're like, hey, yo, yeah, what are you doing? I'm on the road. Hey, I got this in development. I got that. And good for you. I've got a podcast that's run for 12 years and I got fans all over the world. But nobody wants to fucking hear that because the second you say podcast, they think you're some fucking schmuck broadcasting out of the backseat of your car. Now, have I broadcasted out of the backseat of my car? I certainly have. But that's neither here nor there, you dicks. Fuck off, you cocks. I'm consistently a day late with the show now, but the show has gone on for 12 years. I'm proud of it. But at the same time, I'm not going to be in a dick measuring contest with these guys at the fucking Comedy Store because they're all how do I put this? A lot of them are very impressed that they're at the Comedy Store and they work there. You know what I mean? That kind of deal. So I'm not about the fucking Milton Berle and whip out just enough to win. I'm just like, all right, cool. That's fine. Nobody wants to hear I've been doing stand-up for 28 years. Nobody wants to hear. And it's Jeff's fucking night. I drove him. That's it. I'm the chauffeur, man. But Jeff's very nice. And I will tell you this. In the time I've been with Jeff and driving him back and forth, we haven't done anything socially other than this night at the Comedy Store, but I've driven him to and from the airport, to and from Long Beach. So you're there together for 2 hours at a time. And he's been very gracious because he thinks that this show... bullshit. He knows that this show is an unbelievable accomplishment. And he's always shared that with me. And you know me, I'm like, well, we'll see how it goes. And he's just like, no, dude. He doesn't say dude because he's old, but he's like, you got to understand, man, what you've done is amazing. Like it's, because he's fascinated by YouTube, he's fascinated by podcasts, all that kind of thing. Because, he's a club guy. That's who he's always been. And he says, the fact that you have this reach and you've had it and you've held people for so long, and you have people that are fans that are willing to pay for you and help support you doing what you do without even going to clubs or anything like that it's an accomplishment. It's something you should be proud of every fucking moment. And I agree with him. He's right. And I say, yes, I am internally, I feel that way. But when discussing with other people, you don't want to be like, look at me. I got a podcast and I have Patreon. I mean, it's the gatekeepers are gone. So you got to plant your own flag and do the best you can. Now, am I doing the best I can? I'm probably not. I don't self-promote. I have stuff on tap from my buddy Rob Matsushita and my buddy Joe Evil that would be really cool. I haven't used it yet. Because I get that thing where I'm like, well, in totality, I need to make sure everything is ready to launch at once. And it's funny because I'm reading a book called Please Kill Me. And it's the history of punk rock. And it's a book that Mike Siegel's been trying to get me to read for almost 8 months. And it's just been sitting here. And I was like, fuck this. I'm reading it. I'm almost done with it. I read it. It's what is it? 450 pages, but it's an easy read because it's all interviews and shit. So I've sat down for like 3 or 4 long reading sessions and I'm just about done with it. And there was a quote in there that resonated with me. The Ramones went to England. And England didn't have punk yet. I've been learning so much about punk, dude. It's fucking crazy. Because I thought it started, I just assumed the Ramones, the Clash, and the Sex Pistols are the Holy Trinity, and that's that. Well, it really started with the New York Dolls and the Velvet Underground here in the late 60s, early 70s. And American punk was about not caring about fucking anything. And just doing what you wanted for stupid sake. Drugs and fucking, basically. But then when the Ramones went to England was angry, and they took the punk sensibility and they meshed it with their rage, and that's where the Sex Pistols came from and bands like that, and the fans were fucking furious, So there's a great anecdote where the Ramones play in England and people are going fucking insane for them. They only went for 3 days. They actually went on the bicentennial weekend, July 4th, 1976, and they said people lost their minds because it just hit hard. And they walked out in the alley after a show, and they're in the back, and they're leaving. And Paul Simonon and Mick Jones are there, who, they're in the Clash. But they're not in the Clash yet. But they were starting it. They were thinking about doing the band, and they were like, all right, well, what should we do? And they see the Ramones, and they stand outside waiting for them. And the Ramones come out, and Paul Simonon and Mick Jones tell the Ramones, now that we've seen you, we're going to be a band. That we needed to see, now that we've seen you, definitely we're going to be a band. And the Ramones said, you just got to play, guys. Come out of your basement and play. That's what we did. And basically what I guess the Ramones said to them, which they told every other band, anybody who ever met them said they're going to form a band. Anybody who ever came to the Ramones and said, we want to do this because we saw you and we want to do this. And the Ramones went, you don't have to get better. Just fucking get out there. You're as good as you are right now. Don't wait till you're better. How are you ever going to know? Just go out there and do it. And that stuck with me. Well, I want to use those words toward getting out and doing more because, again, like I said, I put these blinders on and these limitations on myself. Just get out there and fucking do it. You're as good as you are now. And those were young kids. I mean, I've been doing it fucking forever. What the fuck am I afraid of? So Jeff, we go downstairs, and again, he's so gracious to me. Like I said, when we're driving, he's like, and he thinks I'm really funny. He had me film a thing for something he did, and I just vamped. I just talked for 3 minutes, and he was like, how did you? I don't want to oversell it, but he's like, how do you do that? I go, I don't know. That's what I do. Literally, you don't need to write anything. I can talk. You give me a microphone and I'll fucking talk. I'll just rampage. And I'm very lucky that that's a talent that I have. Whatever. And I'm not trying to sell you guys on anything, and I'm not trying to go, oh, look at me, I'm great. But But I will tell you, it's very nice when somebody hears that and goes, oh man, that's great. It's nice when somebody recognizes it and goes, God damn, dude. And Jeff has done that, and that makes me happy. So we go to the store, we go downstairs. He introduces me as a comedian to people, and I'm like, nah. I drove. You know what I mean? That's usually my answer because I'm a fucking dope. And he meets the young kids and they got to mic them up and get them ready for the show because this is a legit deal, man. There's like a desk and guest chairs and all that. And Jeff's on first. Brent Morin is on second. And Jeff is there because he and Argus are old friends from the old days of the store. So they got stories to tell, all this kind of stuff. Now, as they're down there milling about and they're getting ready, there's other people who walk in and they're just getting their seat, and some of the young comedians that are in the back and they're getting people all mic'd up. And one guy's a producer and he walks out and he's like, hey, how you doing? He's giving Jeff the lowdown. He looks at me and goes, you are? And I go, I'm Mike. I'm Jeff's friend. He's like, okay, no problem. I just want to make sure that you guys are comfortable and everything's fine. And Jeff, we're going to go in about 10 minutes. And it's just typical stuff. And then they're milling around, and then another guy comes out and he looks at me and he goes, are you Mike Schmidt? And I go, yeah. And he goes, with a podcast? And I go, yeah, absolutely. He goes, oh, okay. He goes, no, I go, how did you hear Jeff tell you? And he goes, no, we got a guy here who knows you and he knows of your podcast and stuff. So I just wanted to see if that was you. And I'm like, all right, yeah, that's me. And he leaves, and now I'm filled with mystery. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I mean, I look at Jeff and was like, did you tell them? And he's like, no, I didn't say a fucking word. So they get ready, people, places, everybody's in, they lock the door, and then they cue the music, and then Argus comes out, and he legitimately does a monologue, like standing up, hands in pockets, or whatever, hands in front. He does an old school Carson monologue with topical jokes from the day. And, the audience laughs, and if they don't, he does that thing where he looks out. It's just it is so frozen in amber from what I grew up with. It's Carson, it's Letterman, it's the typical, hey man, we play some music, we get out there, we tell about 7 minutes worth of jokes, and then we sit down, we do a desk piece, and then we bring on the guests. You know what I mean? That kind of deal. So that's exactly how it worked. I'm sipping water because I can hear whistling in my fucking mouth. I've had dry mouth forever. I don't know if that keto thing just sucks all the moisture out of your fucking body, or, is running 3 miles a day doing that. I don't know. So Argus does the monologue and I'm with Jeff, and, so Argus sits down, he does a desk piece, and they actually take commercial breaks. And it's so quaint. It is so of a time that I remember that I don't think young people would remember. You know what I mean? They're busy watching Jimmy Fallon play fucking Gnip with people all the fucking time or whatever the fuck. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't watch the late night shows. Perhaps they still do a monologue and then all that. I know Kimmel does, I think. It was just very jarring to be in that atmosphere. And then they get Jeff over. He's the first guest. They get him over. They get him mic'd up. So Jeff goes up and he starts telling stories with Argus and the guys. I keep wanting to say Angus, and they get they're doing the segment and Jeff's doing really great. He's killing with the audience. He tells some old road stories. He tells stories about being on the boats. He and I almost said Angus. He and Argus talk about old days at the store. They reminisce about drugs. I don't think Jeff did any, but Argus was fond of them. So, and it's fun. It's a fun segment. I'm in the back. And a producer comes up to me, one of the guys from the back, and he goes, hey. He goes, you're a comedian, right? I said, yeah. He goes, come with me. So he takes me in the little back office. And I should say, this is a very small room. You know what I mean? So me getting up and walking into the production office is noticeable. Like, I stand up, and people are still focused on Jeff. But I mean, it's not like I can do it. We're not way in the back. It's a really tiny room. So I go into the production office, and they go, this dude looks at me, and he goes, hey, look, Brent Morin hasn't shown up. I said, okay. And he goes, do you want to go on? And I said, fuck yeah, of course. What do you need? And he goes, well, we can mic you up. You just got to give me some facts about you now and tell me what you've done. And I went, oh, all right. I said, and there's a guy, and he just goes, he has a podcast. And he stands up and he turns around and he looks at me, and I knew immediately. I knew immediately who this guy was. And he's so rail thin. He's got wire-rimmed glasses on. And just a slip of a dude, but he stands up and he walks over. And I knew it immediately. And I look at him and I go, Mike Schmidt? And he just smiles and he goes, yep. And I put out my hand and I go, Mike Schmidt. I don't know if you've been paying attention, or years ago I told you there's a comedian from the Midwest named Mike Schmidt who moved out here. And it turns out he's one of the writers/producers of Argus Hamilton's talk show. And the second I saw him, I knew it was him. And then it dawned on me, that's who knew me. That's who saw me in the room and knew me because, and then I find out because I go, I get a lot of email for you. And he goes, I get a lot of email for you. I go, really? He goes, people write me on Facebook all the time thinking I'm you. And I was like, holy fuck. I go, well, I send people over to your account, whatever. And he's just like, yeah. He goes, I try to do the same. Again, because we're both Mike Schmidt comedians from the Midwest, and now he's in LA and I've been here, and he could not have been more nice, but it was just great. Mike Schmidt? Yeah, Mike Schmidt. Put my hand out. And he goes, so what are you going to, I said, whatever you need, man. I go, I'm a comedian. I've been doing comedy for almost 30 years. I go, I have the podcast, The 40-Year-Old Boy. I was originally on a podcast called Never Not Funny. We can talk about the podcasting angle, whatever you want to do. I can talk about stand-up. I've worked here in the store. I've worked the Improv, wherever. But I have stories. I mean, if I said, and of course, I said, I have a money story about working at 7-Eleven. I have a money story about when I was in high school and I got suspended. Because those are the two stories that I knew I could, I could do a bunch of stories, but those two are going to hit. Those are the two stories. They're the most requested stories from you guys. They're the most requested stories from anybody whenever they want to hear stuff. That and the Stay Strong Carrot. People always want to hear that. But I can't tell that on the fucking show because that's long. But I could have boiled down 7-Eleven and I could have boiled down George Arnold pretty good. So I go, yeah, just put him on there, and whatever Argus wants to do, wherever he wants to lead me, I'm a good guest. So whatever he wants to take me, and so and then they start miking me up. And then I go, all right, Jeff's done here in a couple of minutes. Then we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and do a desk piece. And then you're going to go on. I said, great, whatever you need me to do. And I'm in the back. And as they're miking me up, a guy comes back and he goes, Brent Morin just walked in. And I went, oh. And they go, yeah, oh man, we're really sorry. I was like, no problem, man. And I shook Mike Schmidt's hand again. I said, nice to meet you finally. And then I shook hands with the guys in the production place and I got the fuck out because now they got to mic up fucking Brent in seconds, because he's going to go on after the desk piece. So Jeff finishes and he comes back and he's like, how was it? I go, oh man, you were great. You fucking did great. And again, it's a small room, so we can't bail. And I'm like, well, I want to watch Brent Morin anyway. I'm there. I want to bail. My instinct always in these sorts of shows is when you're done, go. When you're done, leave. To my detriment. If on the road I had done more watching of headliners, I would have learned more. I would have hung out with headliners and probably made more connections, but I just got the fuck out when I was done. So Jeff and I hang out in the back. Brent Morin comes on stage and Argus knows of him but doesn't know him. So it's a little stilted in the beginning. They go back and forth and Brent is, he almost seems shy. And he gives, a couple of, he tries to be funny with Argus and it kind of doesn't work because Argus doesn't go back and forth with him too. It's not smooth. It's a little choppy just for the first couple minutes. And then he asks Brent a story about when he was working on TV because Brent Morin, I find out, because I know fuck all about Brent Morin. I've just seen his name. And then Brent Morin all of a sudden becomes... on a fucking dime, in a second, he becomes the most charming guy you've ever seen in your life. And he turns on the wattage and he starts telling stories about him, and he grew up with Chris D'Elia. So he and Chris D'Elia are best friends. Then they get a television show together. So they're improvising all the fucking time together because they grew up together. And the other people on the show, like Funches is on there and he has a good time with it. But then like the producers are like, dudes, they did a live show. He tells a story about doing a live broadcast. And they said, listen, we have a hard out, man. You don't fuck around here. Like you got to really nail it. So sure enough, like there's like 6 minutes left in it or something. And he and D'Elia go off on this fucking 3-minute rant. They're not even close to done with the script. And they go off on this goofy ass improvising rant. And they're laughing because they think it's so funny. And the producer's like, you motherfuckers, don't do that on the West Coast broadcast, you know? And it's a great story. It's just, and then he's engaging and he's smart and he's funny. And again, just super charming. And I'm just sitting there going, oh God, that's what it means to be kind of a star, you know, just to see, because look, you can have stilted exchanges. You can have guys go up and just kind of recite stories or go back and forth. But this guy, you could just tell Brent Morin was totally funny in his bones, which was so cool. And he's just relating these anecdotes about being on set and fighting and then talking to producers and getting scolded, and him and D'Elia didn't care, and how he grew up with Chris. And then it was great. I mean, all of it just flowed, and the crowd is really into it and they're laughing. And at that point, here's the one thing it did. And I don't want to disrespect, but it neutralizes the Argus factor. Okay. Argus is set in his ways, and he's an old school talk show host. So he's going to lead you places and try to ask you questions and interject. But if he doesn't know you and he doesn't have really a point of reference, he doesn't have anywhere to bring you. So you're doing the heavy lifting, I could tell. And when Argus just let Brent go off, it was so fucking clean. Because him and Jeff are, you know, they're old friends. So they got stories. They're telling stuff about this. That's fine. Argus knows him. They relate all these stories from the old days and goofing around. Brent Morin, you could see, was totally new school compared to Argus, certainly. And Argus, to his credit, sat back and just let Brent take over. And it was great. It worked out really great. Show ends, you know, and Argus does the sign off. They thank Brent. Jeff goes over, gets his, you know, glad handings and pallings and all that kind of stuff. And, we go to split, you know, Brent Morin just fucking bails. He walks right the fuck out. I'm like, oh man, I would have liked to have met him and just said, hey man, that was fantastic. So, you know, Jeff's schmoozing downstairs a little bit. We go back upstairs. And then there's another guy who sees Jeff and he's like, oh my God, Jeff Wayne. And they come over and Jeff's holding court. If he'd have had a cigar in his hand, he would have looked absolutely perfect because he's just there talking comedy, talking shop. And to see him come alive when he saw his name on the wall and the people recognized him, you know, it's just because if you're doing something for a long time, you don't get, I mean, look, he works on a cruise ship. He works on the cruise ships and you get the instant rush of the laughter from people. But there is something to be said for being feted by people and being told, hey, man, you're fucking great. Or, man, you're awesome. Or, oh, it's been forever. Where the fuck have you been? You're so good. You know, I've had moments of that when I've done really well somewhere and people are like, who the fuck are you? Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? And you're just like, I'm a guy who's waiting. I'm a guy who's waiting to get noticed. Now, sadly, I'm doing it the wrong way. I'm hiding in my house all the fucking time. But still, I'm a guy who, if you gave me fucking 10 minutes on a microphone on a national show, everybody would know my fucking name. All that kind of thing. And look, that's just fucking swagger that lives inside me. Is it true? Is it real? Probably not. But it does gestate inside me. I feel it. It's there. And so while he's talking to his friends, again, I don't want to just hang out. I get introduced. And then I bail because otherwise he's going to tell them I'm a comedian or they're going to ask, well, and this is Jeff's fucking night. So I walk around and you know, there's comics hanging out and comics in the room waiting to go on. And again, it was that vibe, just that fucking alive vibe of people hanging out, people waiting to get in, people waiting to go on, people gripping. You could see them going over their notes out on the fucking outside patio. Shows upstairs, shows in the main room, the original room, the belly room, everything. And just the building is alive. Talked to Carmen a little bit more. And then I was lucky because Brent Morin doubled back and I saw him and I got to talk to him and tell him, hey man, you were fantastic. That was really good. And again, gracious, nice, just, you know, thanks. We didn't talk long. But it felt great to be out there. It felt like home. And certainly it's, you know, it's the flip side of the experience I had last week where I went to an empty room and watched young stand-ups learning their way. Well, I go, remember I talked about like the past, present, and future of comedy. I mean, I would say that night I saw, you know, when I saw Jeff, he's certainly the past, but he's still working here in the present. The present I would say is a Brent Morin and the future would be a Carmen Morales. Just to have those three, to have that touchstone and talk to them. Now, where do I factor into this? I don't know. I'm all of those. I'm certainly in the past. I'm still working in the present. But I'd like to strive to be more in the future. I'd like to go do stand-up. I'd like to be noticed. I'd like to be respected. I'd like to be what I'm supposed to be. And that's what the year of I will means to me. That's what, 2020 means to me. I just, you know what? To quote Dee Dee and Joey and Tommy, you just got to go play. You got to come out of your basement and play. You don't have to get better. You just got to get out there. You're as good as you are, and don't wait till you're better. How are you ever going to know? Just go out there and do it. And I will. You guys can get me at MikeandMikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40yearoldboy. You can follow me at Twitter.com/the40yearoldboy. I'm in Instagram and Snapchat as I mumble through that. Instagram and Snapchat, I'm available. Mike40YOB is the key there. Use that name and you'll find me. I'm lurking. I'm bad. I'm nationwide. I'm in the ether. I'm in the air. I'm in the internet. I'm floating around like particles into fucking Mike TV's little box, and then he's going to get turned into a tiny man in a big chocolate bar. So please follow me at those places. Instagram and Snapchat, Mike40YOB. Am I on TikTok yet? Let me check my balls. No soy sauce. No, not yet. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe it's a thing I should do. But again, I'm not even using Instagram and Snapchat the way I should. Why should I? I'm Cameo. Like I said, what the fuck, man? All these things are out there. I'll talk about that on the other side. And let me just real quick, thank you for your indulgence. I know the show's late. I know it's always a day late these days. I'm still breaking habits that have been lifelong. And I know maybe words fail me and they fall upon your ears and they sound weak or not enough. But I am efforting and striving to get back to a regular schedule where you're getting your show Thursday morning. And I hope and again, it's a lot of you are very nice and you're fans and friends and you're predisposed to like me and tell me, oh, don't worry about it, Mike, don't worry about it. Please know that I worry about it. Please know that it really bothers me and it's a real effort to try to change it and fix it. And I'm doing that. Like I said, January, I think I've done a really good job certainly with exercise and diet. Sleeping is a different story. Sometimes I'm up till 3 a.m. now, but I'm still getting 8 hours depending on how late I sleep. So that's okay. And work, like I said, I was going to make February, was going to start really working in earnest. But my bank account went, hey, what the fuck are you doing, man? And I went, oh, that's a solid idea. Perhaps work should take some precedence here late in the month. So we've started a little early on the work month deal. And you're very nice to indulge me, and I appreciate you sticking around. And maybe you're not. Maybe you've left. Maybe it's frustrating to you. And please know it's just as frustrating to me. And I know there are people who are like, just fucking do it, man. Whatever the fuck, just fucking do it. And it's yes, ostensibly you're correct. But as I alluded to earlier, with Lily in the room, it was easier because I had somebody to answer to and I had stuff to do. And if I'm left to my own devices, I usually hide. And I don't. I'm still learning about being a self-starter / go-getter / guy who gets his work done when he's supposed to get his work done. I've always been a guy who waits till the fucking last minute. And I'm doing my best to pivot from that. And again, this is a lot of talking. And I know you're just like, blah, blah, blah. That's what you do. You just told us how good you are at just talking and saying words. And I am. But I think you guys know me enough to know that I'm genuine when I say these things. I am just as frustrated as some of you that the show is not on time, and I know I'm the one who can do something about it, and I'm really trying. And so the way I look at it is next week is February. And so that starts work month officially, and that means the show is out on time, period, work. Not a lot you can fucking do about it. It is out on fucking time, the fucking end. Because you planned and you primped and you pushed and you decided, and now February is upon us and this is your work month. So it's time to try to put a routine in and get much better habits. And as I mentioned earlier, I will. So thank you. Ryan Dirks does all the web stuff for this show. He's the coolest. You should find Ryan Dirks. He's a great guy. Facebook.com/Ryan Dirks. Ask him, ask him if he wants to either fix your website or sell you a pig. He can do either of those things. Whatever you choose, man. He's a jack of, well, two trades, certainly, but maybe all. I don't know. I don't explore a lot of the Ryan Dirks mythos. So perhaps you should, and find out and let me know if you can do other things besides farm and pute. The cum style. Compute. Cum style. Jesus. Compute. David Hernandez does all of the music and the artwork for this show. That's what it was. He does the music and the artwork. You can find him at Facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez and be his friend if you would. He likes that sort of thing. He's looking for friends in all the wrong places, looking for friends in too many faces. You'll find him there, Facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez. Make him your guy. Make him your main man. As the Velvet Underground said, you know what? Do me a favor. Go wait on the man. Or why not waiting on my man? Get $26 in your hand and go ahead and find our good friend, David Hernandez. Explore his artwork. When you become a friend, go to his photos, look through all of his artwork. He's done plenty of artwork for this, of course, brilliant enterprise. He's done a bunch of stuff that was profile pictures. He doesn't do those anymore, but he used to do profile pictures for me every week. And now he does timeline photos. So you can find those on my site, but I think you can have them on his site too, because I tag him in them all the time. And also, he did, he's got a bevy of artwork that you can scroll through, but he also has a page. Did you know this? Perhaps you did, perhaps you did not, but I'm here to tell you. He has a page called This Is Dumb, That's Dumb, You're Dumb, I'm Dumb. And he's invented all of these, he's invented Biscuit Larry. He's invented all of these fucking characters. You go there. There's some guy with, I think, and I see this character, I'm not sure what his name is, but I think he's modeled after the guy with the forks in his eyes from the Scorpions Blackout album, because he's got his eyes all covered up and he's got bad choppers. Although the guy in the Scorpions album had a mustache and good choppers. Who knows, man? So I'm going to call that Scorpion Joe. He's got Biscuit Larry. He's got Scorpion Joe. He's got fucking Areola Annie. She's there with her tits hanging out all over the place. He's got a guy who looks like Fleagle of the Banana Splits was put in a trash compactor. He's got him hanging around, staring at the tits on the other chick. It's it's bizarre and fun. Go join the page. This is dumb, that's dumb, I'm dumb, you're dumb. Check out all the artwork he's done there. He's created characters for that. Again, like I said, he's done plenty of artwork for me. You can find all of this stuff on Facebook. Be his friend, Facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez, and then try to become a This Is Dumb disciple, and he'll write you a fucking, he'll give you a quiz. And be nice, answer the quiz, and then you'll be in the group, and then you can post memes about everything that stinks in the world. Don't you want to do that? Don't you want to be in a group that says everything stinks? That's the way to go, man. So be in that group. This is dumb. That's dumb. You're dumb. I'm dumb. Go ahead and check it out, please, and see all of his artwork. And also, I'll tell you this. He also did a ton of corporate artwork back in the day, because he was a hired gun, man. He was getting things done for all of the big wigs and the big shots in the advertising industry. And you can see a lot of that stuff at his website. Now, I've mentioned Facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez, but now I'm going to tell you, go to his website, because I fancy it, if you don't mind me being a bit of a cockney. I fancy his website. I do. Go check it out right now. It is artbydmh.com. That is ARTBYDMH.com.
Max,
Yes, Mike.
am I vascular and yoked?
Yes, Mike.
Shall we begin?
Yes, Mike.
Jokers everywhere gather round. There's a funky new groove going down.
There's a man that is going to town.
He's banging on a treadmill and he's wired for sound. So you're gonna have to stay on alert. Don't go near him or you're gonna get hurt.
and she kissed me right in front of my mom.
I like a girl who wants to have sex in a swamp.
The kind of girl who'll make me a kilt.
I like a girl who smells like oranges.
Who does the splits at a car wash.
I hate love.
I used to like to watch Bozo.
I like sentences with 6 words.
We're not even singing about girls anymore. Vascular and yoke.
Christ, I'm so ripped.
Vascular and yoke.
Forearms, forearms, forearms.
Vascular and yoke.
You should see me tie my shoes.
Vascular and yoke.
Calves.
The 40-year-old boy just had his butler quit. The 40-year-old boy is getting mean in bed. The 40-year-old boy is trying to make a change. The 40-year-old boy is chasing down some strange. So don't you even try to knock him off his game. You're goddamn right, his appetite is still the same. He'll make a happy plate, you know he'll lick it clean. He's gonna eat more chicken than a man ever seen. Everybody, everybody, you know he's vascular and yoke.
Everybody sing.
Vascular and yoke.
On the one.
Vascular and yoke.
I do this.
Vascular and yoke.
Everybody.
Hey Mike, what else do you like?
I like a girl who eats marbles.
Kind of girl who denies she has a clubfoot.
I like a girl with a bad arm.
Who keeps her underpants in a lunchbox.
I wish I was dead.
I like to fill my mouth full of grapes.
I own many jungle cats.
I never learned to make a grilled cheese.
I like pancakes on the moon.
I think we need to get back to singing about Mike.
I think I heard a noise.
You jacked up with something to prove. He'll pick you up and get you to groove.
He's the man when he pulls off the move.
You got drywall in your hair, but we'll sure you'll approve. You wonder how much one man can take. Y'all wondering at what point he will break.
He's the man, don't you make no mistake.
You need proof, look and see what he did to that cake. Because he's vascular and yoke. You know he's vascular and yoke. There's a hole in that vascular and yoke. I do this vascular and yoke. Everybody.
Hey Mike, we know what you like. Now tell me, what do you love?
I love girls with large mouths.
I love it when a woman has tan lines on her face.
I love a girl who steals books.
Who knows about leeches?
I love when a girl holds my gun
And can make fire shoot out of her purse.
I love a girl who looks like a cartoon rabbit.
Lets me see her best friend naked.
I love a woman with a skull hard enough to crack a headboard.
I love it when they beat me at Tetris.
I love making clothes for mice.
I think I might have had rabies once.
I love making toast with a lighter.
I really like soup.
I don't feel so good.
I've never seen the beginning of Big Trouble in Little China.
I hope my enemies catch on fire.
I once watched Jaws in the nude.
I love
Hey, man. I don't know if I plugged this last week or the week before even. I did an episode of Rock Solid, the Rock Solid podcast with my great friend, Pat Francis, and we discussed the Black Crowes at length. That's right. He said, hey, man, let's get the Black Crowes in here. And I said, all right, cool. So I was involved in that. Came out a couple of weeks ago. I may have talked about it on here. Again, I forget everything, but you can check it out. It's still available now in the Rock Solid downloads, I believe, on iTunes and all that sort of stuff. It's always fun talking to Pat. You know what I mean? Because it becomes more than a music conversation because he's fucking funny and I'm, me. So we wind up talking fucking forever about whatever the fuck. And we go into the Black Crowes and talk about other bands and things. I'm sorry, more water. And so it's available. I don't know if I got to plug it and tell you guys that it was there. And I think I told you guys about Never Not Funny, right? Because they do that thing where they don't want you to tell anybody because it's secret. But I may have mentioned it last week. So there you go. So Rock Solid, Never Not Funny. Those are both available. Now, Never Not Funny has done 2 shows or 3 shows since then. So you're going to have to wade through a Helen Hong and a Siobhan Wilson. And also, you know what they got this week? Fucking Richard Marx. Jesus Christ. So good for Never Not Funny, scoring all the badass guests. And good for Rock Solid, scoring guys like me. Look at me coming to town. That's who you want to have on. So I'm on Rock Solid talking about the Black Crowes. I'm on Never Not Funny talking about whatever. And also, I'm going to plug this because I will tell you, the Never Not Funny show you got to pay for. All right, it's just you gotta subscribe, and then you get you can download my episode because it's part of the Players Club, and this will sound weird. Like I'm weirdly happy that they put me on that because it means that they think people will pay to hear me. But also, I feel fucking bad telling you guys to fucking pay because you guys are cool. But I will say this: if you want to get a sneak preview of stuff that was said when I was on, there's a fucking Twitter account called Never Not Viney, Viney, Never Not Viney. It's Twitter, so just put at Never Not Viney, and the guy puts up video clips from certain episodes, and he put up 2 different video clips from my episode. One where I made Jimmy laugh really hard. Oh, no, he put up 3 clips. He put up one where I made Jimmy laugh really hard, which I mean is my favorite thing in the world to do. Eating pussy and making Jimmy Pardo laugh, in that order, by the way. So that's my favorite. That's a great clip where I make Jimmy laugh. And then the second clip is one where Jimmy makes me laugh really hard because of something dumb that he says. It's such a perfect delivery on it too. It's so great. And then the third clip is one where I made everybody in the room really laugh except Jimmy, and it's also great because Jimmy knows selling what I said is the greatest. So those clips are available at Never Not Viney on Twitter, and then you can get an idea of what the episode was like where we talked and stuff. But yeah, so and again, you can, if you've got your finances in order, you can download, you can listen to the episode, and that's totally cool. If you don't, go to Never Not Viney and watch these 3 clips as a little sneak preview to see what happened when I was in the room where it happens. So those are available now. Go to Twitter and check that out. That's when you're following me, by the way, at the 40-year-old boy at twitter.com, or the 40-year-old boy at twitter.com. Yeah. Right. I don't know. Fucking yawns. God damn it. Dry mouth and yawns. That's fucking terrible. I should name the show that right now this week. Do we have sponsors? We do. We absolutely do. We've got an unbelievable sponsor in our good friend, Fearful Jesuit. You can find him. He's got his podcast called The Paranoid Strain. First of all, write him a note. Tell him how great he is and tell him how great you think I am for telling people about him. paranoidstrain@gmail.com. paranoidstrain@gmail.com. It's available in the iTunes store now, too. You can go ahead and download it. You can subscribe. Why wouldn't you subscribe and listen to all of the episodes? Right now, his opus, his magnum opus, where he's wondering whether reality itself is actually a conspiracy theory, is available right now in the iTunes store. I've told you all about it. I've probably given away too much, you know. And by the way, this is part 1. It's a 3.5-hour show. It is part 1, which is fucking crazy. But it's worth it. You got to get it. There's again, my favorite thing is in the beginning, he's like, we're taking a quick tour of ideas over the past couple thousand years. And then Dane on Unicorn says, we have 3 hours and 9 minutes left. I mean, it's just, so it's not a quick tour of fucking anything, but amazing stuff. There's a musical Youth reference, which you'll find in there somewhere at some point. You'll hear the phrase Socrates was an amazing dude, which, I mean, he was certainly, but I don't know if you say it like that. If you ever want to know what happens when you roll a ball in a circle on a trampoline while your fat uncle lays on it, you got to listen to this show, man. Does he call Einstein E-Man? He does. All of these things are real and true. And also, it is, again, informationally dense, completely above my pay grade to understand. And but you will enjoy it and you will love it because you are all so much smarter than me. Please download it right now in the iTunes store. Go ahead and subscribe to the Paranoid Strain podcast. Download it immediately, friends. And then listen to all of them. Listen to all of the episodes. Listen to this one. I would listen to this one last because, again, unless you've heard the others, which is fine. But this is a fucking home run, just like a massive crush job over the wall. And it's a sit, man. It's 3.5 hours of 3 hours 20 minutes, I think, of a lot of smart stuff that I struggled with because I'm a fucking chimp. If you gave me a Rubik's Cube to solve, I would throw it as far as I could. That's the kind of guy I am. I'm not about to play your game and get one side all green and be frustrated. No. You give me that Rubik's Cube and then guess what? Stand up, launch. Let's see how far I can throw this fucking thing. And so this show is for people like you who are smart and patient and you can go ahead and understand quantum physics, and I am not that fucking cat. But I did enjoy it just because it's funny. He mixes enough funny in and a lot of Dana, and it's really cool. So go ahead and download it right now, the Paranoid Strain Podcast, and leave a quote in the iTunes store saying, hey, look, we love this show. We love all the downloads. It's fantastic. And our buddy Mike over at the 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast told us to do this. And then, and I'll be grateful forever. That seems strong. I'll be happy you did it. I think maybe our buddy Fearful Jess will be grateful forever. Who knows? You know what? Take a chance. Go ahead and write that in the iTunes store and let's see who's grateful forever. Could be either of us. Could be both of us. Could be none of us. But that's the chance you take. So the Paranoid Strain Podcast available right now in the iTunes store. Our good friend Fearful Jesuit is the host with Dana Unicorn, and it is fantastic. And you should check it out right now. Leave reviews, send notes. And just love it, because I know you will. Our good friend Rob Matsushita also sponsors this show with things that I haven't used yet, but I will. And he does the Knife Drop podcast. You want to check out his show, the Knife Drop podcast. Right now, I told you last week of the latest episode. That is still the latest episode. It's episode 10 of the Knife Drop podcast, where they talk about Roxanne, which you know about, which is about Steve Martin and a big fucking nose, and Rick Rossovich and big muscles, and Daryl Hannah and big man, I want to fuck her vibes, which because she's hot. Shelley Duvall and big man, I want to rail her too, just for the story vibes. Look, this movie's got something for fucking everybody. Isn't Wilford Brimley in it? There's a bunch of I think Bill Irwin's one of the firemen. Who the fuck else is there? There's a comedian I know who is in it. Is fucking, I don't remember. Who cares? Check it out. Oh no, don't check out Roxanne. They sponsored the show this week. The producers of Roxanne trying to get a little heat for their movie from 40 years ago. Yeah, you know what? You know where we go? We go to a podcast to get that guy talking about it. No, Steve Martin has not contacted me. So please listen to the Knife Drop podcast. I got lost there because I'm so excited about what's in Roxanne. But the Knife Drop podcast, episode 10, is available now. They also talk about Blood Feast. I'm sorry, they're talking about the remake of Blood Feast. And then, of course, they're talking about Hard Bodies, which is a movie I ran off a batch to many years ago. So please go ahead and listen to what they say about all those things. Hard Bodies and Blood Feast, and, of course, Roxanne. And as I told you last week, I've jerked off to 2 of those movies. Not going to tell you which ones. But the Knife Drop podcast is available now in Stitcher and at Anchor and at Podbay and wherever finer podcasts are sold. Go ahead and look for the Knife Drop. Listen to it. Listen to Boovie Bagoovie and him telling you about old movies and all those people. They're all there. They're lovely and fantastic and just waiting for you to show up and listen. So download it right now. I'm on Cameo, as I mentioned, although you're going to hire Mike Madsen anyway, but I'm there. If you want me to go ahead and call your brother and tell him, hey, you know what, do this. This is a good idea. Hire me on Cameo to call your brother and tell him that Michael Madsen's on Cameo. Why don't I do that? It's good advertising for Madsen. I make a little cash on the side. That's perfect. And we get your brother on board. He goes ahead and hires Madsen to tell, you know what? Fuck this. Here's what you do. Hire Madsen to tell people that I'm on fucking Cameo. See, now that's where the real business is. I don't even know what he's asking for, but if you find some fucking celebrity, like a celebrity, don't give me some fucking YouTube asshole, but if you can hire Debbie Gibson to write a song about me and my podcast and to tell people that I'm on Cameo, hire Debbie Gibson to do a Cameo commercial for me, holy shit, would that be fucking great. So that's what we need to do. That's the new thing. Don't hire me for Cameo, but hire everybody else that's famous on Cameo, and they only talk about me. Oh my God, I'm fucking putting this paradigm on its head. I've tilted the gears on these motherfuckers, man. You can't handle my title. Hire Brett Favre just to talk about my show. And literally put in there, if you mention football once, you fuck, I will cancel this. Just put that right in there and have him just talk about me and my show. Have him talk about, because that motherfucker saw me. He saw me at the Funny Bone in, the fuck was it? 90 fucking 3? 92? Whenever they won the Super Bowl, the year they beat New England in the Super Bowl, Favre, they came to my show. Him and Chimura came to my fucking show that night. Chimura was an 11-year-old. It was a great show. But yeah, man. So this is the move on Cameo. Hire the famous people just to talk about me. Holy shit, I love that idea. But if you want to go traditional, just go ahead and hire me to tell your dog he's a good boy, or tell your cat she's nice, and pretend like I'm scratching her belly. I'll even mime it for you. Whatever you want to do, show it to your cat. Just me scratching a cat belly. Happy to do it. If you got a bird, if you want me to teach a bird how to swear, hire me on Cameo. Let's think out of the box here. I'm tired of calling your aunt or aunts. I'm tired of calling your aunts. Let me talk to somebody else in your family. Who's there? Let me call your dad. Tell him what a great job he did with you. Or maybe you're having some problems with your dad. Maybe I call him and I loosen him the fuck up. I tenderize him like goddamn meat in a freezer, like Rocky taking a couple of fucking shots at him. Let's do it. I'll fucking throw your dad around. I don't give a shit. Your mom, tell her she's hot, she cooks well. If she just decides to leave her dad, she's always got a place to stay. Look at how terrible I am. Why would I do these things? You know why? $15. That's all it takes on Cameo to turn me into a fucking monster. You want me to be a horrible lech who hits on your mom and tells your dad to fuck off? That's $15. What a deal. Although, bullshit, that's $30. That's two different messages. Look, man, don't hire me to hit on your mom and tell your dad to fuck off in the same message. I'm a businessman. You got to separate those two messages. Preferably in the order in which you think they would be more effective. Like, let me tell your dad to fuck off and then hit on your mom. I guess I could hit on your mom, and if she responds, then I could tell your dad to fuck off. I don't know. Look, you handle your business the way you want. You know your family. I don't. But bring me into the fold, man. Hire me to do a bunch of dumb stuff on Cameo. Is there a teacher you hated or a teacher you loved? What if is there a girl in the neighborhood you're scared to talk to? You're scared to talk to? Hire me, man. I'll send her a note. How creepy is that? Hi, I'm 50. Your friend likes you. I'm the equivalent. I'm a note you would pass in class. I'm the verbose note you pass in class. Hey, do you like Jefferson? Why is there a kid named Jefferson? Hey, do you like Jefferson? Circle 1, yes or no. Happy to do it. All of these things I'm on board with doing because I desperately need $15. So hire me on Cameo, please. Or hire the ultra famous to talk about me. I'm good with either one. Who wants to drive for Uber and Lyft? Is it you? Probably not. Who wants to ride with Uber and Lyft? Nobody. If you're a first-time rider on Uber and Lyft, here are my codes. Lyft is Mike720057, and Uber is DJZW1YTTUE. That's DJZW1YTTUE, all lowercase. Lyft, of course, is Mike720057, all caps. That's if you're a first-time rider, but that means fuck all to me because all I do is I get credit for rides and fuck them for changing that. But then we go the other route. If you want to be a driver, and who wouldn't with these new changes afoot as they're trying to make as much money for drivers as they possibly can, wink, you can go ahead and be a driver and use those same codes. Did you write them down? Of course you did. So let me tell you what they are now. DJZW1YTTUE for Uber, Mike720057 for Lyft. Use those codes, get out on the road, man, and make me some money and make you some money and make us both some goddamn money, right? We both need money. Who needs money? You, me, everybody. Everybody needs some money. Everybody needs some money to spend. Money to spend. All right. I'm the oldest man alive. Literally the oldest person on planet fucking Earth. So if you want to use those codes, go ahead. I honestly, at this point, I know nobody does, but what the fuck? Who cares? Why not? Hey, I have a Patreon. Why don't you go ahead and give to that if you would? Did I have a new person this week? I think I did. Hold on, let me double check. Let me go ahead and pull up the old Patreon for you because I had a bunch of messages this morning. I know I've had a lovely and talented friend who unfortunately had to he had to change things a little bit. It was our good friend Eric Price. That's how I want to mention. Eric Price was nice. He's doubled his monthly commitment. Thank you, Eric Price, for thinking of me. You're super cool, and I appreciate it very much. Eric Price has stepped up on Patreon, and he has gone ahead and doubled his commitment per month, and you're very cool to do that. I appreciate it. We've had, and I mentioned Jeff Thomas last week, Eric Price bumping it up. Some other people, unfortunately, had to either bail or lower their thing, but that's fine. I totally get that. When if you want to change that in the future, you can do that too. And I understand the page isn't exactly, it's not fucking interactive. But February has arrived, and there should be things that I have to do. Hey, it's all work. Let's make me my job, right? I will. So please become a patron at Patreon, if you will. I would love that very much if you were to go ahead and continue donating to try to keep this show alive and the rest of me alive. I think the rest of me is more important than the show sometimes, but who knows, man? What do I know? I'm sure my finger will lead me to bleed out someday, and then that'll be totally perfect. So become a patron at Patreon, if you would. I'd appreciate it very, very much. We have an Amazon link. That's also pretty cool. If you go to our MikeSchmidtComedy.com and then you go to the merchandise page, and then what we know is the Joe Business page, you'll go there and you'll see an Amazon link just lurking. It's just there floating in space. And look, man, again, you're shopping at Amazon anyway. So click on the link, use that, and then I'm getting a taste of it. It doesn't even cost you. It costs you 10 fucking seconds, man. And then we get money, they get money, you get stuff. I don't know if you saw the news today. Jeff Bezos made $13 billion today, and Amazon is now a $1 trillion company. So this guy desperately needs your fucking $5, whatever the fuck you want to buy, and I need to gravy train off of that. I need a couple of cents. So why wouldn't you do it? Go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com, go to the merchandise page, which of course is the Joe Business page. You'll see the logo for Amazon floating in space. Click on that, go shopping, because you're shopping anyway, right? And we get a taste of the gig. It costs you nothing extra but just going click 2 clicks. 2 clicks, me clicking you clicking the floor. It's right there, man. Go ahead and click it up. And then we get money, they get money, you get stuff. Again, a perfect symbiotic relationship between me and you and Jeff Bezos. Did you ever think you'd be 1 degree away from Jeff Bezos? I don't think you did, but now you are. I'm it. You listen to me and I work for Jeff Bezos. It's a perfect symbiotic relationship. Thank you. Thank you so much for thinking of me. You know, I have a Twitch channel. I do stream all sorts of video games. I will not be streaming this weekend because I have a friend in town. Our good friend Evil Dennis from the UN of Evil will be in town for the Super Bowl. And I don't think I'll be streaming. Like I said, I might if he shows up and he's like, go ahead and stream, whatever the fuck. We'll see. But right now I'm not planning on streaming this weekend. But the Twitch channel does exist and it's there. Go follow and subscribe to the channel. That'd be cool. You'll see me playing The Witcher, which is a lot of fun right now. We're having fun going around and killing witches and ghouls. What else did I kill? I killed a ghoul. I killed a wraith. I killed a moon wraith. Yeah, that's right. You want a piece of me? Killed a fucking moon wraith. I've killed deserters. I've killed rats. I've killed cannibals. It's been fun. So why not join the Twitch channel? Follow or subscribe. Following is just you're just there. You can watch, and then whenever I'm on, that'll tell you I'm on, and you can come watch if you want. Subscribing, you can actually give me money. And if you're a Twitch Prime subscriber, an Amazon Prime subscriber, you have a Twitch Prime that you can use that gives me $5. Costs you nothing. Again, costs you nothing, man. Just allows you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You got to renew that every month, but just if you do it 1 month, then that's cool because you thought of me, and I appreciate it very much. So the Twitch channel exists. It's twitch.tv/the40year-old-boy, or just Google Mike Schmidt Twitch, and you're going to find it. It's going to come up and go there. Follow and or subscribe. And while you're there, you can look at a bunch of clips, see the fun we've had trying to kill cows, and when I was trying to kill the tyrant, all these fun things from the past. There's a billion clips up there that I should probably share to my YouTube channel. Hey, by the way, did you know I have a YouTube channel? I do. Why don't you go follow the YouTube channel? Again, that costs you $0, and you don't have to fucking watch anything. I just need numbers. So if you want to go ahead and follow, that's great. If you watch, I make money. But if you follow, that's even cooler, because then they just like, oh, okay. Because if I get under a certain number, they whack me, and I'm not close to that yet. But I mean, I'd rather grow than shrink, just like a cock. So please go ahead and join the YouTube channel. Follow it if you would, or subscribe, I should say. Again, costs you nothing. It's just a nice gesture for you to go ahead and keep me afloat, and I appreciate that very much. The YouTube channel exists. The Twitch channel exists. We've talked about Amazon and Patreon and all sorts of other stuff. Oh, you know what? I have a mailing list starting in February. Did I say there was a mailing list going out? I did. So that'll be the first week of February before the show comes out. And then just to make sure that we're doing good and everybody who subscribed got it. But write me a note if you want to be on the mailing list. Hey, Mike, add me at gmail.com. If you've already sent me an email, no, I have not signed on a newsletter. I've gotten it and you're on the list. But hey, Mike, add me at gmail.com. This is the final call for subscribers, although I might do it in the future. So that just negates the fact that it's the final call. But I mean, because again, in February is when they start in earnest. So every time I do a podcast, there will also be a newsletter that goes out with it at the same time. Possibly with a lot of the links that I've just mentioned here in the past. And holy fuck, don't you want that? Don't you want a page of links? Don't you want some writing from me? It's not bad enough that I'm talking at you all the goddamn time, like Harry Nilsson said. But now I've got a note, and you'll have to read that as well. And look, I'm half as charming on the printed page. I can tell you that right now. I'm not bad. I mean, I write well. Certainly, I spell things correctly. But I'm, I'm all mouth. We know this, right? In any number of areas. But still, you want to be a part of this. You want to get this newsletter as I talk you out of it instantly. Send me an email. Hey, Mike, add me at gmail.com. Hey, Mike, add me at gmail.com. And then we'll get you on the mailing list, which starts in earnest next week. And is that everything? Have I talked about everything? I have a SoFi link if you want that, because again, I need money. There's a SoFi link. One where, like, if you put $1,000 in a fucking investment thing, I get $100, you get $100. But then it works out where, like, you can just pull the money out in a week. It's not, you're not committed to spending $1,000. You're just putting $1,000 in this fucking account, and then you can take it right out. I did it. I promise you it works. I've had 2 other listeners do it, and they can assure you that it works. So that exists if you want to get a free $100 and get me a free $100. And also there's another link that's, I think I just get $25 if you do that. And then you can sign up your friends and stuff like that. So those exist. Perhaps I should put them on the Joker's page. If you want them, contact me explicitly and I will send them, like our friend Ellen has. And I have not responded to her because I'm a genius, folks. Because again, even though I tell you about them now in my brain, I'm like, well, that's weird to like make people give money. I'm so fucking dumb. Sometimes. No, the 4 agreements, be impeccable with your word. I'm not dumb. I just make mistakes and I need to fix my brain. Hi. There's me every day that happens. I'll say something and go, don't do that. 4 agreements say, because I live my life by a book by a yogi, a Jesus believing yogi. He has great things to say, but then all of a sudden there'll be like 8 pages about Jesus and his path. And I'm like, dude, fucking yogi, man. I just want to, don't do that to me. Don't fucking yogi out on me or yoga out on me. Wow, Yoga and Angus getting a lot of play instead of Yogi and Argus. So I wanted, I'm going to talk about this just because it happened this week and you don't have to listen. I live in Los Angeles, and last Sunday, basketball player Kobe Bryant crashed and unfortunately passed away. And it was a huge deal. I mean, it's a big deal kind of across the nation. But in Los Angeles, it is a fucking bomb blast. I mean, it has left people fucking completely out of sorts. Like they don't know what to do. And I truly don't blame them. But I will say that unfortunately social media has led itself into this path of everybody has to be first. Everybody has to have a take. Everybody has to come forward and say this or that or the other fucking thing. And it's grueling to sit through. Now, Kobe Bryant is a complicated person. All right. He did a terrible thing a long time ago. And I'm not discounting it because it was a long time ago. I'll tell you the exact exchange I did. On Twitter, all I wrote was, Jesus Christ, all the wrong fucking people are dying in this country. And a friend of mine, a comedian, went, no, the right person died. Have you read this report? This is what he did. And it was a link to the report of his rape accusations in the case. And I only say accusations and allegations because he bought his way out of it. Okay? We know he did it. He admitted as much. But he bought his way out of it so he wasn't convicted. Okay? So that's the only reason I frame it in that with those words. Not that he was going to fucking sue me, but... So my friend sent that to me, and I just wrote back and I go, because I have read it. I'm a sports fan. I paid very, very strong attention to it back then. And I just wrote him back and I go, yeah, and fuck him for that. But I think maybe death by helicopter crash while leaving behind 4 children is a bit of an over sentence, if you ask me. And again, it's supremely complicated. I mean, I have friends who've written me and they're like, how come the world is forgetting that Kobe Bryant is a rapist? And I wrote them back and I just went, well, it's a very complicated situation because I don't want to fight with my friends. I just write back, it's very complicated. He was also a guy who meant a lot to millions of people. And then my friend is like, why? Because you can put a ball through a hoop. You can teach an animal to put a ball through a hoop. And I wanted to say, well, he's also built schools. And he's also reached out. There are stories all right, a woman shared a story on Twitter, and she lives in Arizona, and there was a 5-year-old boy with brain cancer, and his name was Kobe, and he loved Kobe. So he was in the hospital, and there was no hope. He wasn't going to be a transplant, nothing. He was unfortunately going to die. And so she reached out to the Phoenix Suns and said, hey, look, do you have any connection with the Lakers? Can you get me a signed ball from Kobe? And the Lakers were coming down later that week. And so her friend, the connection, got back to her and said, hey, we'll do it. He'll do it. And she said, that's great. Where can I pick it up? Or do I? And she goes, no. Kobe wants to come there. But you have to, there's no press, no PR. You can't tell anybody. So this woman doesn't even tell her bosses. Kobe shows up, in a car, and they take him up the back stairwell because they don't want the rest of the hospital to see him. They don't want any of this. And they take him to this kid's room, and the kid, loses his mind, lights up. Kobe brings him memorabilia, brings him a ball, and he spends the morning there with him, talking and laughing and passing the ball around and visiting with this 5-year-old kid who's going to die. And then they leave and they get in the car, and Kobe says, hey, what's the situation here? What can I do? And she said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, financially, I can take care of that. Anything they need, what do you want? And they said, oh no, there's nothing that can be done. We're going to lose him. He's going to pass away. And Kobe said, whatever you need, you tell me. But, they can't tell the press. They can't tell, there's no PR. And the kid winds up passing away, like I think it was 2 weeks later. And the mom reaches out to the woman who arranged it all and said that she would always cherish that because that was the only time, these are the only pictures she has of her son smiling, is when Kobe showed up and he spent the morning with him and he got the chance to meet his hero. And I'm sure he did that hundreds of times all over the place. He sponsored charities. He wound up taking care. He did an unbelievably terrible thing. But this is why I say life is complicated. It's when you talk about like Bill Cosby, you talk about Louis C.K., and I'm not putting them in the same boat as Kobe, okay? But I'm saying when people talk about separating the art from the artist, or everything is done in 2 sentences now. Fuck him, he's a rapist, he should die. Well, what do you want? You want him buried in a fucking field with just like a grave that says rapist on it? I mean, what do you want that forever? Or did he try to grow and learn and mitigate the circumstance a little bit by taking care of people in a different way? And was he educated and learned differently when he had 4 daughters? Again, please understand, what he did was fucked, and he should have paid the price for it. And he was able to buy his way out of it, and I think that's terrible. And I feel tremendously for the woman who was involved and her family and friends and anybody who has to watch the parade of people saying he's a fantastic guy. But that's what I mean when I say it's complicated. The world is not black and white, as much as we want to make it that way, as much as I try to make it that way a lot of the times with, oh, they love me, oh, they hate me, oh, this works or it doesn't work, or I'm good or I'm bad. That exists in my head. But for some reason, I can look at other situations and I can see nuance. I can't do it very well with myself, but I can see nuance in other situations. And I know some of you are going, why is there fucking nuance in a rape case? Hey, dude, there's no nuance about that. Like I said, I believe he did it. I believe it's fucked that he got away with it. And I feel terrible for the woman who was involved, and again, all of her family and friends. But at the same time, this is a guy who has gone out of his way to do a lot of good for a lot of people. It does not mitigate what he did, but this is why it is complicated. There's a comedian named Ari Shaffir who I've met and was always cool to me. As a matter of fact, he had a storytelling podcast or a storytelling show once, and I reached out to him, and he knew me. He was like, oh yeah, dude, I've heard you. Absolutely. I would love to have you on the show. It didn't work out because the show he was going to do got canceled. But Ari's huge now. He went on, he's Joe Rogan's great friend. And then because in the beginning I knew him as the amazing racist. And I was just like, I don't get this at all. And again, he's always been a good guy to me. But he is a guy who lives for fucking crazy shit. punched Bobby Lee in the face. He dosed Bert Kreischer in front of his kids, put a drug in his drink. I mean, that's shit that I don't understand, but it's, you know, I'm not, whatever the fuck. I can't explain it. I think it's fucked, but that's whatever. But then Ari does a thing where whenever a celebrity dies, he tweets out something awful, like something tremendously awful, on purpose. He did it when, you know, fucking Luke Perry died, when Tom Petty died. And I'm talking like stuff like Tom Petty died. It's about time. He had a voice like a fucking somebody threw a cat and a fucking wood chipper, and it's about fucking time. He stole all his music from whoever. I mean, it's just like he does it over the top on purpose. He steers completely into the skid. So he did it for Kobe. I mean, and I have to admit, because I follow him on Twitter, and when I saw it, I just fucking, out loud, when I saw what he tweeted, I just went, oof, that's going to be bad. I fucking knew. And he literally wrote something like, Kobe died 23 years too late. Hollywood liberals will never remember that he was a rapist because they like cheering for the Lakers more than they hate rape. Congratulations to the guy who forgot to gas up his chopper. It's a great day. Fuck you, Kobe. Fuck the Lakers. And I just... Now, he tweeted that before we knew the daughter was in the crash. But when I saw it, I again, you your life changes as you get older. When Michael Jordan's father was killed, I wrote jokes about it, and I opened with them in Chicago. And people would boo me and be angry at me, and then I would spend the rest of my set digging out, almost like a challenge to myself, like I wanted to do that. I always used to rush to get the first joke out about whatever the fuck, any celebrity, any of that bullshit that happened. I told you that. I did stuff where I finally learned a lesson when Sean Penn, there was fires in Malibu, and Sean Penn's house burned down. And I wrote jokes about it. And one of them was like the lowest of low-hanging fruit. Like, hey, you know what? Call me when Sean Penn's bank burns down. That'll be bad news for Sean Penn. But his fucking house, how many more of these houses does he have? And I remember I did it on stage. And like 2 days later, I just went, what are you doing? What is funny about a person's house burning down? Whether Sean Penn, what? Because he's famous? Why do I have... I mean, I love Sean Penn and his work. I understand he might be a pill off stage, whatever the fuck. But I mean, he's brought joy to my life with fucking Spicoli and Falcon and the Snowman, any number of roles or work that he's done. Who am I to take a fucking swipe at him for no fucking good reason, just to get a reaction from people? There was nothing funny about what I said. And there's nothing funny about his house burning down. Because again, what do I fucking know? Like maybe his favorite baby picture was in there. Maybe his mother's ring was in there. You don't know anything about people's lives. So Ari wrote that, and like I said, he, you know, that's his shtick. That's what he does. But I remember reading it, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, this is going to be bad. I knew. And he got fucking hammered. He just got fucking destroyed. And I'm talking death threats. Like people, you know, they're trying to find his address, and people in LA and Philly are both like, you fucking show up in this town, man, you're dead. We'll fucking find you. You think you're fucking safe. I think he lost like 30,000 Twitter followers. And then it went viral because then fucking Michael Rappaport picked it up and a bunch of people picked it up and just going after him and just fucking. So then literally 2 hours later, he did it ironically, but he retweeted the tweet. He never deleted the tweet. He retweeted it and just wrote, I was hacked. Which of course he's just being a dick. He's basically steering into it again at that point. Like, you don't scare me. Because I'm reiterating the fact that I said this. He also put up a video on Instagram where he's walking around in Charlotte because he had a show that night. And he's like, it's a great day. Fucking Kobe Bryant died. So, you know, it's about fucking time. Like, whatever the fuck he said. And I remember seeing it on Sunday. And I just went, I don't know what he's doing. I understand that's his gimmick. And his fans expect it of him. Jeselnik is like that too. But Anthony... You know what Anthony tweeted the day of Kobe's that he passed away? There was some story, it was a TV story, like something about they're rebooting some movie. And he literally retweeted that and he goes, boy, and you didn't think this day could get any worse. That's a gorgeous joke. Because it references it without saying anything. The joke, the burden is on the TV show that's getting rebooted. It's not about Kobe. It's not about his family. It's not about death. Because another thing too, if Kobe had murdered somebody, or he died in a shootout, or he had died of a drug overdose, or you know what I mean, then it takes the edge off you making fun of him. But I mean, he died going to his daughter's basketball game, and then we found out his daughter was in the fucking chopper, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, it's just not funny. You know me, funny excuses everything. And also, let's be clear. I'm not saying that Ari should be punished for this, because that has happened. Not only death threats, literally the next day his agency dropped him. And then he had shows canceled. He was supposed to be in New York at the New York Comedy Club. They canceled him then too, because the club is getting death threats that if he shows up, people are going to show up. And that's just out of control. That's just fucking foolish. So that's what I'm saying is like, you want to talk about complicated. Kobe's life was complicated. He did a terrible thing, but then he also did great things. Well, this is complicated because Ari said a terrible thing, but he's under the guise of comedy. And this is where we're having so many problems in this country, because people are trying to put limits on what you can and can't say in clubs or at colleges and things like that. But it's because they've conflated white supremacists and Nazis and alt-right people and far-left assholes, and everybody else is saying all the dumb shit. And they weaponize it against comedians when comedians try to talk about stuff. Now, look, what Ari said was artless. There's no doubt. It was just not... It wasn't funny. It was just a fucking brutal thumb in the eye. But you have a right to do that. But you also have to expect the consequences. So if your agency drops you and you don't get to play at the comedy clubs anymore, that's a choice you made. Do I think it's right? I don't. I think his agency knew exactly who Ari Shaffir was the entire fucking time, and they should not have dropped him. But they are in the business of making money, and they're trying to get out in front of it, and they don't want to be associated with a guy who might get fucking murdered at an open mic now. And it's weird. It's just a weird time. And I can see all sides of it. I can see why the agency did that. I don't think they should have. I can see why the clubs are canceling him, because they don't want fucking mayhem in their clubs, but I don't think they should have. Because if you knew Ari and you knew what his act was all about, then you would understand that this is just what he does. And you would expect this sort of thing. Now, Ari puts up an apology. It wasn't even an apology. It was just a statement on Instagram with the weirdest fucking deflection I've ever seen, where he's like, hey, I don't really hate the people I write jokes about. This is just an annual thing I do. My fans have come to expect it. They actually write me and go, oh man, what are you going to say this time? So I write these for my fans. They're just jokes. And if you saw these and you're not my fan, it wasn't meant for you, so you should just keep scrolling. So basically what he's saying is like, hey, if you're not my fan, you don't have any, you can't be offended because you don't know me and what I do, so this shouldn't matter to you, so just go ahead about your day. Which in an ideal world, wouldn't that be great? But you're literally ensconced in an outrage industry where everything you say is scrutinized by everybody. I mean, it's just a cycle of canceling people and looking for the wrong, people are mad at Lil Nas X for wearing a purple or a pink outfit to the Grammys, or, I mean, everybody's got to grind their fucking axe, and they do it fucking out loud. And if you come after a hero, you're going to get fucking destroyed, because your fans get it. But that's the thing. You're not just in that forum. You're not talking just to your fans. It was just the weirdest deflection. And then he put that out even before his agency dropped him. I think maybe his agency was like, you know what, we can get through this. And then he put out this 5-page statement that basically went, hey, if you don't know who I am, fuck you. Like, this isn't for you, so you shouldn't be upset about it. And I don't understand what he thought he was going to gain from that either. But now, you know what, dudes? He deleted the tweet. He locked the fucking Twitter account. He's battened down the hatches, and he's hoping this passes over. And I don't know. I really don't. The Roaches always forget. They remember. They always remember. They never forget. When they see his name, he will always be associated from now on with this. Does that make him radioactive? No. He can go play clubs to people who get it. He can also play to some fucking Neanderthals who just like that people say mean shit and they're happy to have people say mean shit. It's like Doug Stanhope is a brilliant comedian, but there are a section or a segment of his fans who just like the fact that he thumbs his fucking nose and sticks his finger in the eye of authority and whomever the fuck, just because they want to live vicariously through him and have him say terrible fucking things about things that they hate. And that's what you live with as a performer, you know? And Ari, boy, I don't think he shouldn't have done what he did because he's always done it. I think he shouldn't have done what he did because he's human. There has to be a moment where you go, all right, look, I do this all the time because he's like, I like destroying gods. But you have to recognize that when that happens, there are people who worship those gods. And they will come for you. I mean, look, Tom Petty doesn't have a rabid fan base that's going to want. I mean, they're all fucking 68-year-old stoners who are listening to fucking the Marshall Crenshaw band or Allman Brothers or whatever the fuck, and like, oh, this guy's a dick, man. He said some shit about Tom. If I see him in my fucking town, I'm gonna fucking kill him, man. You know that nobody's getting off the fucking couch. They're listening to Pure Perry League and thinking about Tom, so they're not going to do it. Luke Perry. His fan base is what, 45-year-old women now? What are they going to do? They're going to show up and fucking throw their acrylic nails at fucking Ari? I don't know. Kobe's a different story. And also, Kobe died young. You know, again, it was a tragedy. You can't, and look, you can make fun of anything. You can't. Funny excuses everything. I just didn't think it was funny. And I thought he should have thought better of that moment. But I would never tell him he couldn't say it. You just got to be ready for what comes after. And that's the thing I don't like is that all the roaches now are coming out and going, oh, man, it was a fucking joke, man. What the fuck? Can't take a fucking joke. Can't take. And I want to look at them and go, tell me what's funny about that statement. Tell me what's funny about what he said. Granted, congrats to the guy who forgot to gas up his chopper. That's clever. But the rest of it is just pissing on a grave. And God knows I've done enough of it. You know what I mean? I've said terrible things and I've savaged people and I've done things like that too, but not like that. And I can only hope it blows over because again, I like Ari, nice guy. And you know, I don't look, I'm not saying this is going to teach him anything and it shouldn't, you know, we have free speech. We're comedians. We choose our path. Because that's another thing with me wanting to get back into clubs. I wanted to kind of get a vibe on what people were talking about. You know what they're talking about? They're talking about dating. And they're talking about the same stuff they talked about when I was in the club 20 years ago. And it's just, but now the technology's different. And so I was like, oh, I breathed a sigh of relief. I was like, okay, kind of the same thing, kind of universal, kind of the same topics. And, I will say this, the 2 nights that I went, nobody talked about politics, which I enjoyed because I got no interest in fucking talking about politics on stage. I got no interest in discussing because it's just stupid at this point. There's nothing, what can you say? It's all bled the fuck out. So there's no point in doing it. But yeah, I don't envy Ari having to try and dig out from this. But at the same time, he set all the charges and buried himself in the rubble. So I'm hoping he could. And also, there's a group of there are plenty of comedians out there. I'm not going to get into this because I don't want to fucking be in a brawl. But there are comedians out there who are just like, fuck yeah, fucking Ari is the fucking greatest, and fuck you, you're stupid, you don't fucking get it, free speech, and da da da. And it's just like, yes, we all have free speech. We can say whatever the fuck we want, but there are consequences to be paid if you do something. It's just, because I'm different. I've been doing it for 30 years, so I can go, oh, he's a comedian. He's just trying to be funny. He's trying to get a rise. He's trying to do this. But at the same fucking time, I've grown in 30 years, and I'm like, that just wasn't, it's not funny, man. It wasn't a funny thing to say. Funny excuses everything. Jeselnik's was fucking great. But if he does it a week later, maybe he gets away with it. People still say some shit to him, but not like they did because he did it an hour after it fucking happened. And I recognize that instinct to be fucking first. There's no doubt. But again, he was always cool to me. I like him, and I hope this doesn't fucking kneecap him fucking forever. I got a feeling, though, the times we live in now, like, he's still going to work, but he's going to be playing in a lot different places. And I'm hoping it doesn't, because, I mean, look, Lenny Bruce wound up drowning in a toilet or whatever the fuck, or he died in a bathroom on the floor because everybody scrutinized every fucking thing he said. And then he eventually had to play like different and smaller and jazzier clubs. And they still came hunting him down and shit like that. And I hope something like that doesn't happen to Ari. I know it sounds like a weird comparison, but he's still got over 200,000 fucking Twitter followers. He's a popular guy, big name in a podcast that's popular. I'm hoping he can weather the storm, but boy, I'll tell you what a shotgun blast to the face he fucking put on himself on Sunday. It was crazy when I saw it. I just thought to myself, because again, hey man, I'm all for saying fucking terrible shit. That's totally fine. I got no issue with it, but it was so close. And so as a comedian, there is that certain amount of respect where you're like, holy fuck, man, that is just ballsy. But this one, it didn't seem ballsy. Like, I mean, I was doing 9/11 material the day after. Okay. So I get it. But Jesus Christ, this just seemed like taking a hatchet to people for no fucking reason. But I would never tell him he couldn't do it. And I'm not saying, oh, that was wrong. It's not wrong. You do it. But then you got to fucking stand there and face the hurricane, man. That's the hardest thing, especially now, because everybody can get a hold of you on fucking Instagram or every other fucking place, or TikTok. You know what I mean? Maybe if Ari does that on TikTok and then puts his balls in some soy sauce, he gets away with it. By the way, I've seen Ari's balls. That used to be a thing. Like, he'd hang his balls out or whatever the fuck. I got no interest in that. This is a guy who would hang his balls out, and now this time he figuratively put his balls on the chopping block and they got fucking whacked, man. So I think that's the thing. You transfer over to TikTok, put your balls in some soy sauce, get the younger people to like you again, and then you can insult everybody who dies in a helicopter crash. Just go ahead, make that your thing. Just go ahead and surf the net to see when people crash on fucking helicopters and be like, that's the guy I'm going after. This dude, here's the thing. Maybe you start out at the bottom. Maybe you start out making fun of people who aren't famous who die in helicopter crashes. See, that's the move. Then you build yourself up to celebrities. Rebrand yourself as the helicopter crash funny guy. Like, you're the guy who's always first on the scene. You're like a first responder, but with jokes. Regular responders are like firemen and policemen. They're on the scene, but you show up with a fucking phone and a microphone and you're like, how you doing, everybody? It's me. And you're first responder on every accident scene and making fun of normal people. See, that's how you do it. Then you get your rep. You're like Nightcrawler. You're like fucking Gyllenhaal in that fucking movie. And then you build yourself up, and then you start taking on the famous people who die in the goddamn helicopter crash. And then that's when the big bucks start rolling in, right? That's when you start making as much money as possible. Holy fuck, when you get out there and the whole time, it's a niche. Look, it's a niche act. There's no doubt. And you spend a lot of your time hoping for helicopter crashes. So you're really patrolling around with a scanner on, waiting for a helicopter to go down so you can make one more chapter in your career. But it could be any more.
If there's anything I like more than me, it's people who like me. I love me, but if you love me, I love you. 'Cause you know why, we both love me. How great am I? Let's talk about that for a while, and by a while, I mean forever.
Charlie Doe Podcast.